Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Director Watch, an AwardsWatch podcast that attempts to get inside the mind of cinema's greatest auteurs, explore what drives them, and maybe we go on a few unrelated tangents along the way. I'm Ryan McQuade, the executive editor here at AwardsWatch, and joining me, as always, is my dazzling co-host.
Wow,
Jay Ledbetter.
that was one of the most incredible intros you've ever given me, right? And today we're talking about a film. It's about a teenager who feels pressured by the society around them to have sex before a certain period of time. We're finally getting there. American Pie. It's time. We're finally talking American Pie. And I'm excited about that. That was all that Ryan said to me. It was like, it's about a teenager who feels pressured to have sex.
Jay,
and I watched all of the American Pies, actually. Jay, there'll be a lot of context.
I love you.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about the bit, which congratulations on bringing it back.
Yeah.
But we're not actually talking about American Pie.
Yeah.
We're talking about Marie Antoinette. Because we're in the
by whom?
Well, directed by Sofia Coppola.
Oh my God, you're right. We've watched two Sofia Coppolas in a row, and I didn't even.
Yeah. What do you think we're just gonna we're just gonna start a new movie series in the middle of one?
Oh, wow.
That's why the joke.
Luckily, Ryan, I did watch. Completely disconnected from that. I did watch Marie Antoinette this week
just on the off chance that we were going to continue our jobs.
And you know what? Honestly, when I'm thinking about it, is Marie Antoinette Sofia Coppola's American Pie? I mean, one could say
she wouldn't let them all eat pie, but she'd let them all eat cake.
It's a cake movie, not a pie movie.
There you go. Where are y'all on it? Are you guys more pie or cake?
Pie.
Pie.
I'm
Nine
pie
times
as
out of
well.
10.
I'm not a baked goods guy.
Yeah, you're not a real sweet guy.
Neither.
You're a real
I like
son of a
good
bitch.
Sweet, but baked goods are not.
Like, what do you usually go for then, Jay?
Honestly,
not
I'm embarrassing. Like, you give me a good gummy.
Oh, you like a gummy.
We're cooking.
You're still like just like I would expect it to be, like a little bit like a little child. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, honestly, correct. Yeah, you're right. Also, my dental history because
I was going to say it's probably not the best. No, I like a brownie. A good warm
I love
brownie.
a brownie. You know what? I love a good those cookie brownie hybrids.
Oh, you're really into those, huh?
Good.
Yeah, those are good.
It's got to be good. I mean, like, you got to cook it all, because sometimes you can really undercook that shit, and it's really.
I love an undercooked brownie, like a really doughy brownie.
You undercook.
Oh, you like a doughy brownie.
When it comes to
huh?
a baked good, you undercook everything.
Really? Oh, because I guess because it's then like the cookie dough.
Doughy
thing,
cookies,
right?
Doughy brownies.
Well, you don't want them hard. Yeah, you don't want like hard cookies, because then you're just dunking them in milk at that point. You know.
Which also is good.
Do you guys do a dunk? You know, like a Dunkin'?
I don't really like milk.
You don't like milk?
No.
I grew up on.
Sorry, Harvey.
So one of my. If you want to talk about a red flag, I grew up like every meal was milk. We're eating tacos, I'm having milk. We're eating spaghetti, I'm having milk.
What?
We're eating this is not a fault of mine. This is a fault of my.
The fuck's going on at your house? All this milk.
It was bad. And you know what kind of milk it was? Skim.
You know what? Oh, that's not milk. That's just like
as Ron Swanson calls it,
yellow. That's like white water.
It's milk pretending to be, or it's water pretending to be milk. Yeah,
that's nasty.
I love it. It's great.
Do you still drink skim milk?
Oh yeah, 100%.
You don't drink the real stuff?
No, I mean when it.
I mean, you're supposed to. If you're gonna have milk, you just drink the regular stuff.
When it comes to 0% milk, it's what I drink 100% of the time.
Okay, all right. I mean, you're not supposed to do like the nut milks or the oat milks or stuff.
No, I'm not.
I'm not. That's just sugar.
Milk. I know.
That's just sugar now.
I'm not going to Woodstock.
You're not wearing Birkenstocks outside? Well, I mean, they are comfortable. I can't lie. That other voice you hear, ladies and gentlemen,
oh yeah,
is none other than our associate editor, Sophia Ciminello, who's joining us as our guest.
Is Sophia our unofficial co-host?
I think so.
She's like our stand-in.
She knew whatever the fuck she wants on this show. I mean,
thanks, guys.
She comes on once a series.
It's
most part.
funny. I was like, when did I come on last? Because you
French
just
Connection.
did Friedkin. So I was like French Connection, but it felt more recent. And then I remembered we did our little June part 2.
Yeah, we did.
Shouldn't call it little. It was a
That was
great
a long.
episode,
That was
really.
we got a lot of
getting
good
into
feedback
it.
on that episode, by the way. We thought we were
Yeah.
going to get a lot of hate. We actually got a lot of good feedback on it.
We spoke for the people, I
Yeah.
think.
We
in that
spoke for
episode.
the non-pilled people.
We
Yeah.
spoke for the Fremen.
Yeah.
For Chani.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
for Chani. Yeah. Because Lord
Yeah.
knows Denis Villeneuve did not write a good enough character for her, so we needed to help her out.
But
Should we just
thank
do
you guys
another
for having
Dune
me
2
back,
episode?
though.
We're not doing another Dune 2 episode,
Okay,
and you're
all right,
welcome.
that's fine.
You're always welcome to be back here, Sophia. Yeah, I mean, we're here to talk about Marie Antoinette, which I'm really excited to talk about this. This is a really controversial film.
Mhm.
Because it's not only is it her follow-up to Lost in Translation, her Oscar win.
An Oscar winner, a certified blockbuster. This thing
Yeah.
made over $100 million.
Yeah, and this
It's
is
a big,
this,
big movie.
and she's become a brand at this point. She is known. She's got a style, a pastiche, credibility. She's one of the very few female directors to ever be nominated for Best Director
Film
at
is
this
produced
point.
by American Zoetrope, which I don't think she had any. Like she'd never heard of that before.
No, but like
this
Columbia and Sony Pictures are like all over this thing, and they gave her 40 million, which is the biggest
film.
budget
No,
at that point for her.
This is a big movie.
It's a big step up, and then
Yeah.
and then people,
It's a big movie that looks way bigger than it even cost.
yeah, which is kind of crazy. And then I mean, it didn't make that much money, and critics kind of had their knives out for her. It seems like too, and people, and almost feels like weirdly enough, she went into a little bit of like a jail for a little bit after this. It was a bigger bomb than people think that it probably was. You know what I mean? Like, or disaster. And then over the years,
It wasn't a disaster.
no, but there were headlines. It was like burn it all down. Get her out of here.
It definitely
Which is
has
so
been
important for it.
reclaimed.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because that's why it's been reclaimed over the last couple of years as one of her best films. Maybe her best film.
People are
From some
saying
people. Some people are saying. I'm not saying who. It's like it on the streets. But yeah, it's a big deal. Sophia, you picked this one.
Mhm.
Much like any other time you come on here, there's always a reason behind it. It's maybe not a phantom thread reason. Maybe it's not,
if we don't give Sophia first choice, she gets second
No,
choice.
she-
And for a Sophia series,
Yeah,
Brian,
it's
I
kind
think
of-
we did
yeah,
give her
it's-
first choice.
That's true. And so, just like one of the last episodes she was on, we got to see what her French connection is to this, and why she picked Marie Antoinette.
French connection. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
let's get
Well,
it
I
because
am
it's
French. I
see,
do have
she
French
is-
heritage.
and
Ho,
she was
ho.
on the episode for the French
Ho,
connection.
ho, ho.
Ties
There
it all
you
back
go.
in. You guys should go back and
Oui,
listen to
oui.
that episode. Thank you very much.
Enchanté.
Okay, that I don't need
I
you
was like, how
doing
long is this
accents
gonna
tonight.
go on?
Him
Especially
doing
because
accents
no one
is
in the film
dangerous.
does them, right?
I think, yeah,
It's a
and
big
that
No,
was another.
The
that was-
little girl does.
Oh yeah.
yeah, the little, yeah,
That's
you
right.
love child acting, and you're the one gonna bring
No,
that up.
I watched this with the wife, and she was like, "Oh, that's weird. The little girl is the only one that spoke French." And I was like, "You know what? Great point."
Yeah. Anyway, Sophia.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that you guys are doing Sofia Coppola series. I was excited for that. She's one of my all-time favorite filmmakers, possibly on my Mount Rushmore. I
Wait, really?
love, yeah, I love her like all time. It's like her Altman, Kubrick, PTA.
Wow.
I did
Didn't-
not
Off
know
the
that she
top
was.
of my
This
head.
is,
I did
this
not
is
know
like
that
when we
either.
did Phantom Thread, and I was like, Sophia, I did not realize this is your favorite movie ever.
Well, I did know
Yeah.
that.
I
didn't
did
know-
not.
I didn't know
This is
that.
it.
But now
I'm
we're-
not
but
going
now
to
we're
be,
doing
I'm
Rushmore.
probably not going to, I'm not going to be as over the top on Marie Antoinette as I was with Phantom Thread, but I do.
Sophia, I'm exhausted today. If you could just do that and let me kind of sit on the side.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've had a long
I
day as
will,
well. I
you
mean,
know,
like,
There's
I'm gonna
not a lot of food of substance in Marie Antoinette, but I will do my best to
Are you kidding
whip
me?
up something decadent like
Mhm.
macaroons and cakes and
Macrons.
candy, you know.
This is a
So, but
food-centric film.
it is. But do we ever
I don't know.
see
I don't
Kirsten
know how
Dunst
Kirsten
eating
didn't. She doesn't
anything
gain a
of
pound.
substance? No,
Yeah.
it's like all decadence, which I love. But yeah, so Sofia Coppola in her Sofia Coppola Archives, this beautiful book that she has a line at the beginning when she says, "There's always a world and there's always a girl trying to navigate it." And I think that's just a very powerful way to sum up her films and the themes across her films and why they've always connected with me. I think that they're just visually splendid with very powerful images. And, it's interesting that I was on here last for Denis Villeneuve because recently he talked about how he doesn't like dialogue. He's all about images. And Sofia Coppola famously also is not heavy on the dialogue. You'll see that across all of her films, and she talks about it in a number of interviews. But what she can do that he cannot, I think, and a number of other
I did not
filmmakers.
realize Denis Villeneuve was going to catch strays on this episode.
I was ready.
Catch it
Is
outside,
that
Denny. How about that?
she really is she's better at world building and she's better at communicating deeper emotions uh, within her characters through the camera. And that's what I've always connected with. And I think for me, she has these incredible social commentaries that discuss identity and adolescent girls. And that was just revelatory for me growing up. It was just something I'd never really seen in anyone else's films. I want to live in her movies. I always have. And even with their sadness, I just always have felt very understood by her. And I think with Marie Antoinette, what I love about it is that when I think about my favorite movies, Barry Lyndon, Phantom Thread, on the surface, I love a period film or a costume drama, but I really don't like the stuffy, buttoned up type of period film. I like the anachronism, and I find a lot of power in anachronism and in this movie and those movies' rejection of the rigidity of period films that you typically see. There are the ornaments there, but underneath there's something strange that I think communicates something deeper about the subject. And for me, when I saw Marie Antoinette, so I saw this when I was 13, and I can't even articulate what that experience was like. I imagine it's like how boys felt watching The Dark Knight. Not to make it a gender binary, but like that is how I
Excuse
felt.
me.
I just felt like I was watching something so cool. And I loved history too at the time. Like I was, very into history and literature. And this was the way that I thought about history, but I had never seen like articulated in such a sophisticated, visually beautiful way. And I love that when you think of Marie Antoinette as a historical figure, you can't help but think of excess and maximalism and the violence around her death, her being beheaded, the line, let them eat cake, which was written in a Rousseau philosophical paper before her time. So, like, she wasn't even capable of saying it, but we think about her as a character and as a historical figure tied up in these things that Sofia Coppola is so good at accessing with her filmmaking. She's so good at myth making and at playing with the idea of who Marie Antoinette is. I think, there's a reason why pop stars and fashion houses have emulated 18th century France and more specifically her. What is this all about? Why her? That's what Sophia is concerned with. It's not historical accuracy. It's not this great man narrative, I think, that plagues a lot of biopics. She's not interested in necessarily what actually happened down to the details, but rather in how it's written. And I think that not many historical epics or biopics or tales of a particular person in time can really accomplish that creatively. And like you guys were saying, this is her blank check coming after an astonishing directorial debut, another masterpiece in Lost in Translation. I think this is probably when she is most in line with who her father was as a filmmaker. Like I find them to be very
This is a
spiritually
little bit
connected.
her Apocalypse Now. A little bit.
Like unprecedented access to Versailles,
Yeah.
like getting to film there
On
is
location.
unheard of. And like she just basically had free reign over all of it. Was so excited, and then she got booed at Cannes. So it's such an interesting story around that, I think, too.
It's the ultimate blank check for her. Post, I mean, obviously being at like the top of her career with Lost in Translation. This is her longest film. This is over 2 hours. She's usually a pretty efficient under 2 hour filmmaker.
And most of the time that is a product of the budget.
Yeah, it is a product of that. It's also a product of, I mean, talk about, her depicting someone that's clearly of excess and overabundance and having a little bit longer
and also,
runtime, but a lot to.
Let's celebrate under 2 hours. That's not,
I mean,
we should not be like, shame on her for not making movies.
I
think
on
the industry for not allowing her to make.
I think it's a fascinating thing is that she's never. I mean, I think Priscilla is the closest one to 2 hours. That was an hour 50. But this is but this is kind of like what you need to. And again, another very important figure with a lot of story to tell. And so, but there's not an ounce of fat on this thing. Which is really great because there are movies that are done about historical figures that you're like, wow, we could really cut about maybe, I don't know, a whole hour out of this thing and cut it maybe into just one segment. But you're right, Sophia. It's a truly fascinating. It's just a fascinating film to talk about, and then from just behind the scenes and post its screening and everything and its history. But then if you really just talk about the film, it's really fascinating too. J-Dog?
Yes, sir.
You like Marie Antoinette?
Yeah, I've seen this movie probably 3 times now. And I think if it's not her best, it's right up there. I mean, so Sofia Coppola is doing some really special stuff with this movie, and she's being allowed to do it with the most resources she's ever had, as we've talked about it. And I mentioned at the top that jokingly that this is her American Pie per se, but what is so special about this movie is that she does kind of contextualize the life of Marie Antoinette into this sort of contemporary teen sex comedy genre.
Yeah.
And she does it in some ways where it does feel like this farce, and there are other ways where it feels like a tragedy, and then eventually it does become this true, like it does possess this sense of kind of ironic existential dread that is very similar to that of Barry Lyndon, which I know is one of my, like, if you ask me what my 5 favorite movies are, I probably say Barry Lyndon.
What's your letterbox for, Jay? Right?
What?
Well, like, what's your letterbox for? They're asking you up on the street, like, what's your 4 favorite movies of all time? Is it right there?
Can I talk? I was actually thinking about this earlier.
Okay.
If we can go on our first side tangent.
Well, I figured the
Let's do it.
pie and the cake was the first one, but sure, go right on ahead.
What is Letterboxd going to do once they've asked like all the important people what their 4 favorite movies are?
Well, then they're going to ask them what they recently watched. If they have Letterboxd, I guess. I don't know.
Because they're getting there, and I'm like, okay, so when the next Tom Hanks movie comes out, what are they going to ask him? They've done the top 4, right?
Have they done Tom Hanks already?
Yeah, they did Tom Hanks at Asteroid City.
Well, they haven't done Cruise.
They did do Cruise, didn't they?
No,
They talked. I think they talked to him, but he didn't say.
he didn't say.
Like I can picture him
that's
with
his whole
Letterboxd,
thing.
but that's his power.
Because you know what?
Like,
Here's the thing.
I don't love a movie. I love the movies.
Here's the thing about Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise says he watches a movie a day. I'd like to call bullshit on that. I don't think that movie. I don't think that man. Because like, when you see actors, perfect examples, like when I hear Cate Blanchett talk about movies, you clearly know through her reverence of film history, and especially even in her like Criterion video. I
disagrey with you wholeheartedly here.
No,
Tom Cruise freaking loves movies.
Really? Because anytime he's like,
yes.
I just watched I watched a Buster Keaton movie, or I watched I watched just the Gene Kelly's just singing in the rain, like just the part of him singing in the rain. I'm like, okay, basic bro. Like, what have you actually like? What like when
Wow, this is some
his speech at Cannes,
people
his
catching
his like
strays
his
left
like
and right.
his like honorary palm d'or speech. One of the most like boring speeches ever, especially when they start talking about like what he loves about like what movies he likes. He just doesn't actually answer the fucking question. I've seen this multiple times with Tom Cruise in it, and I love the guy. Movies save him. Like,
Yeah, his desire to save classic filmmaking, I think, certainly cancels out any cynicism you may have towards his.
No, I mean, I'd like to hear him talk about it a little bit more. Like I hear like people like Del Toro and Scorsese and all these big figures talk about it, and you're like,
that's fine. You're talking about the ones of one.
You want to be the savior of cinema? You better start speaking up, my friend. Like, come on.
It's just funny because what he does though is he says like he won't. He's one of those people who.
It's like,
like if you ask them their favorite, like he won't say. He's too afraid to name names or like to rank anything. He's like, that doesn't matter. Why do I need to?
Yeah,
it's like when I ask my dad to rank the best picture nominees, he's like, they're all different. Why would you need me to do that?
He's got sort of this mentality of if I say one is my favorite, it's putting down the others that aren't my favorite.
Like, I champion all cinema.
All right, I'm sure that's not part of like your, initiation
I think Tom
process.
Cruise has got a real sense of cinema history.
I'm pretty sure he can't rank anything because that's against, whatever.
Well, it might bring down his Thetan level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He might lose
Isn't
a couple.
He climbing
notches.
the Hollywood sign this week.
I think that's
what he's doing instead of watching movies
for fucking CinemaCon. You know what I mean? He's climbing on top of Hollywood. Literally.
Such a weird guy.
What a fucking weirdo. But anyway,
can't wait for him to work with Inarritu.
By the way,
be magic.
I never asked. Jay? What's your favorite kind of pie?
This is actually very funny because I had this discussion at work yesterday.
Really?
We talked about our favorite kinds of pie.
Oh.
Mine is key lime. I'm a key lime pie.
Really? That's kind of controversial. Not a lot of people bring that up.
I think it's good pie because
it's good pie. It's got a tang.
Nice
tang.
I'm not a bread boy. You get like a really baked good in there. I'm not a bread boy. Like cinnamon rolls, don't have much interest in that.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't either because I don't like icing.
Cake, I don't particularly care for like cake in general.
Does it matter if it's like somebody home makes you a cake, you're not going to eat it?
Well, I guess the problem I have with cake is the degree of difficulty with cake is higher than it is with some other goods.
Sorry, Sophia. We'll get back to Marie Antoinette.
Dry cake.
It's cake related. It counts.
Dry cake is, somebody
it's an
gives
abomination.
Somebody gives me a dry cake. I say, let them eat cake.
I
say, don't let me
eat this shit. Is that what you're saying?
Is that what you're saying? Let them eat cake.
Yeah, let them eat it.
Away from myself and say, let them eat cake.
Okay.
But my favorite kind of pie is key lime. I'm a key lime pie boy.
Sophia?
I love a key lime pie too. I also love I'm a Midwesterner, so I love a Dutch apple pie.
Yeah.
Like just a really good apple pie.
Skyline chili.
But I do love Skyline chili.
I've never had it. I've heard it's
classic.
supposed to be like really good.
It's something else.
I like a pecan pie because I am from Texas. But it's not my favorite pie. I love strawberry rhubarb. I love a rhubarb.
You know what?
It's out of the box.
My family's been real behind on the rhubarb.
You never had a strawberry rhubarb pie?
I love a strawberry rhubarb.
It's really good.
Tartness of it.
The tartness, and then you have like maybe a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top.
Oh yeah.
A la mode.
There you go, baby. Way to get us back on track. I really love this movie. I really do, and it took me a while because I remember when I first saw it, probably like around the time you saw it, Sophia. I was like, yeah, it was good. But I don't like really think I like fully contextualized it in the like obviously knowing the totality of
modern.
It's so modern. It was so different.
The
everything
norms of a
by the way,
movie like
also
this.
run time being under 2 hours, very much within her family, or like the family of Jason with like the Wes Anderson films, like Roman.
Yeah,
and
Francis
and,
loved A Short Flight.
I was gonna say,
Well, no,
what
I wasn't.
Francis?
Well, no, I was talking about the new generation of
Yeah.
the Coppolas and
They
their family.
learned.
Like they learned. Dad's going a little too long here. But no, like mostly Wes's collabs, especially with Roman and Schwartzman and everything.
Wes Anderson is not directly related to the Coppolas, right? I mean,
no, but
I didn't miss anything.
Schwartzman is, and so
Schwartzman is.
Those
and
the Coppolas, all like Roman Coppola and Schwartzman.
He's adjacent on that tree.
Wes Anderson is he's
a Coppola
unofficial step sibling of
he's
Coppolas.
gotten an invite to.
It's so funny. He's from Texas.
Longhorn through and through, baby.
Yeah.
Oscar winner too, baby.
He's an Aggie.
No, shut the fuck up. No, he is not. I don't get angry on this pod. No, because he's intelligent. But yeah, no, under 2 hours. Every single one of Wes Anderson movies. That's what makes you can watch them all in a weekend. Really, if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend that. That's a rough marathon because you're seeing the same aesthetic every shot down the middle.
Wow.
I do love the aesthetic though.
You have upset some people already, Ryan.
Listen, I love Wes Anderson's movies. I even love like Asteroid City and The French Dispatch. I'm unapologetic Wes fan and I don't give a shit. But like I maybe like could do 2 in a day. I don't know if I could do like the whole thing. It's not a filmmaker I would marathon.
What's your fave Wes?
Royal Tenenbaums.
Sophia, fave Wes?
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I'm a Tenenbaums boy.
It's my number 2. Fantastic Mr. Fox. It's you know what? Jay's right about Tenenbaums. As you get older, I cry a lot with Tenenbaums, and Hackman is incredible. And yeah, it's his most emotional piece of work. I would say second most emotional is probably Asteroid City that just came out. Like it's very personal.
Asteroid City,
such a good movie. You know what I haven't done though? I haven't watched the shorts. The Henry Sugars.
Really?
Yeah, I never watched any of those. Because like
I liked Henry Sugar more than most people did. I found it very charming.
It's because like they had them all as separate things, and now they brought them out as I think an anthology now. Okay, you can watch them all as one. So I'm gonna watch it sometime this week. But
Netflix did such a good job of marketing them. It's like, how could you miss them?
What were you gonna say, Sophia?
Hackman was on the Warner Brothers lot this week.
What the hell was he doing there?
Mooseport,
and you know where my cursed brain went? Does he have a cameo in the new PTA?
Oh boy.
You want to know my cursed brain? Is he going over to Nolan's office to watch Oppenheimer?
Oh my god.
He totally would have been a good Louis Stroud back in the day. Strauss.
Yeah, he would have.
He would have been really good in that. Because he's just good in everything. Anyway, what would he have been good in this? He would have been good he would have been a good Rip Torn.
I mean, how crazy is it that Rip Torn is cast as Louis the 15th?
Fucking
I mean, it just rocks.
Yeah.
But no, what I was saying
was that's the buy-in that put so many people off of this movie.
Well, yeah, because it's like that's the thing is why I think initially it didn't work for me is because like, but now over time I love it because it's so unafraid of not being
it's an American standard teen comedy.
Yeah, it is a studio comedy.
French history.
Exactly. It's you know how like there's all these movies now that take like Shakespeare and modernize it, right? You know what I mean? Like,
but not literalize it like
10
this one does.
Like 10 Things I Hate About You, or what was it? Anyone But You, right?
Anyone But You.
Yeah, stuff like that. You know what I mean? And like they just recontextualize that story
into
modern.
You is just so
Anyone But You, or whatever. You know, it really is just the way Sydney Sweeney says it rolls off the tongue. But it
speaks in iambic pentameter.
Iambic pentameter.
But anyway, God, we're so mean. But no, it's that I think that this is taking it the other way, and I think that's jarring for audiences. But it fits perfectly within her voice and the type of movies that she makes. These birds in a cage. This is like the ultimate version of that. Like this movie goes so then we can get a Priscilla down the road because, I mean, what
Pablo
Sophia
Larraín
said,
wishes.
Exactly. He totally fucking wishes because like you're talking about like Sophia, you're mentioning the classic line, that everybody knows Marie Antoinette. No, let him all eat cake. And that's not a real story. That's not a real quote from her. But if you really dive deep, she lived a very tragic life. It wasn't one of just like, I don't care. She lived
a tragic life and was blamed for a lot of things that she wasn't responsible for.
Exactly. Yeah. And when you watch this movie, yes, it is very glamorous. It's very beautiful. It's incredibly, incredibly luscious. But like Jay said, it's completely sad. This movie is fucking sad. Like, it is a teen comedy that needs a Xanax. Like, it is. This is rough at times because half of this movie is about how
kind of a teen comedy that gets a Xanax.
It gets one
halfway through.
Yeah.
She can't. I mean, the whole
kind of this numb exercise.
Yeah, because the first half of the movie, she is trying to do is have a baby, and she can't.
American Pie. She's the Jason Biggs.
Well, it's because her husband doesn't want to have sex with her, and then there's all these pressures, and it's just building this tension, and you just feel terrible because she's getting put into this position. And
who is the Stifler's mom of Marie Antoinette?
That's a good question.
Madame du Barry.
I was going to say Madame. Right. I was going to say Madame du Barry. She's
and then a bunch of like now super famous UK babe bros come into play over the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Dornan as the most desirable man that has
Tom
ever
Hardy
existed on Earth.
Tom Hardy, yeah.
Yamahama.
When you see Jamie Dornan, though, you understand her and her draw to him because one, I mean, he's really good looking. She's bored, and she's a teenage girl, and her husband is a guy who won't have sex with her and would rather read about watches.
I gotta tell you,
and then one of her best friends is like, sex rocks, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are. I don't know if you know about this, but the intimate times out of sight. And Schwartzman's so good in this movie.
He is so good in like he is maybe the most like modernly stylized character in the movie, where he really is playing like his character from Rushmore, except way dorkier than that. He's insecure.
Less sexually like.
His thing in Rushmore is that he's confident. In this movie,
he's confident, but he also
precocious.
He's confident. He wants to have sex, but this is like if that character did get the girl, and it's like, well, now I don't know what to do. I don't know. I can't have sex with this. It's very. It's very like I have the shiny object, and now I'm just going to let it sit up on the mantelpiece while I go and explore.
Kirsten Dunst is 10 out of 10, 120 out of 100. Incredible in this movie.
Yeah,
I agree. There's a reason she's Sofia Coppola's muse, really her first muse. They work so well together, and you can tell. I mean, when certain actor-director pairs talk about working with each other, and I know like De Niro and Scorsese talk about this, and I know Nolan and Cillian Murphy talk about this with Oppenheimer. It's like they develop a shorthand where they just kind of know somehow they're just synced up with what the project should be.
You say Oppenheimer?
I did.
Oh, okay.
I did.
That made me happy. Best picture winning.
Best picture winner. But like those sorts of collaborations, I think, where it's just very clear that they get each other, and that's
the nonverbal cues.
With Schwartzman, with Schwartzman, what really works for me is that he looks both 14 and 40 to me at the same time.
Yeah.
Which really works for that character because they're supposed to be teenagers. That's
horny
the crazy thing.
And impotent.
Yes. Yeah. It's like that works so well for him because you can just see like he has no confidence. There's this like extra pressure that's put on them from everyone outside. It's like and Sofia Coppola's done this now in Priscilla too. She's explored this idea of like women not just being trapped within systems or within that gilded cage, but within dissatisfying marriages sexually, where they're the ones who want intimacy and the men around them are the ones who reject it.
Same with Lost in Translation a little bit too.
Realizations that their adolescent impulses were not justified.
I had to tell you, one of my favorite
Yes.
scenes is when she's talking with Danny Houston, and he's just like, this. I can
Danny
basically,
Houston, the most French guy who has ever
I mean, like
existed.
the Frenchiest of the French. Like he invented the mustard. But
Another
no, like
director's child.
absolutely, and he fucking rips in this movie because like there's that scene where he's sitting with her, and she's like, dude, y'all need to be making some kids, otherwise you're gonna get like kicked the fuck out of here. Like you're the problem then at that point, which is an interesting thing to say. That it's like, no, it's
That's
not.
the thing. Her mom and dad are telling her, like,
Yeah, and so like,
look,
so
if you don't get this
Mhm.
thing going, you're gonna get.
It's a
kicked
political
out.
alliance.
they're gonna kick
Yeah.
you out of here. You know what I mean? And so like him going and talking with Schwartzman and just having that little awkward conversation about like, you know, essentially the birds and the bees, right? And like basically like go have sex with your wife. Like this isn't hard.
Mhm.
She's very beautiful. Like you're clearly an idiot, but you're the king. You know, but you're the king. Just
But it
gotta
is
do
hard
it.
because there's
gotta
heavy
do it.
implication that he is homosexual.
He also has some health issues
Seems impotent a
historically
little bit,
that
too.
prevent him from, I would say, having sex that's not extremely painful.
Yeah.
Won't get into it further, but yeah.
I mean, you
He's
can say it.
Was
I
doing
mean,
some- I was doing some reading.
disinterested from the beginning without even knowing that, really.
I mean, how do you see
Well,
that?
that
How do you
too.
how do
Yeah.
you see she's one of the most beautiful women ever, Marie Antoinette, and she's
Yeah.
played by one of the most beautiful women out there in Kirsten Dunst.
Who is
I mean-
fully recoded as a contemporary beauty, where she's like this very thin, despite the fact that it seemingly all she consumes is cake.
Cake and
It's
tea,
like never
Yeah.
a pound is gained.
never a real meal. You know, it's like
it is this life.
though when they
of
do have the real
opulence
meals,
without any
the
of
meals look good.
physical
They do.
modern consequences of
Oh yeah, I mean, like
of that opulence.
yeah. Also, love the fact that like you see the sort of mundanity of the routine over time of her waking up and what we would think is something is very like the outsider's perspective would think is very posh and again
At
this
first
is
she thinks it's so bizarre.
it is and it is
Mhm.
kind of
And
bizarre.
I love
like
how she voices
It
that.
is wholly
She says,
bizarre.
"This is
Yeah.
ridiculous,"
This is
and they reply,
ridiculous.
"This
Yeah.
is Versailles."
this
That's
is
so
Versailles.
good.
Yes, that's a great line.
But then it goes from being ridiculous to being a nuisance to then being a weapon almost like, on her at times. Just to being like, I need a moment's
It becomes
rest.
an
I need something.
expectation.
Yeah, and it just becomes a cycle of the same thing over and over again, and it beats her up. It's a
When something
system beating her
ridiculous
up.
becomes normal, that's how revolutions happen.
Yeah, and I
Mhm.
think, but I think I think Dunst is extra. This best performance maybe she's ever given, like
Yeah,
easily.
it's
I'm
up
trying to
there.
think.
Her, it might be I think it is my favorite of hers. Like she's just to me like what's so brilliant about her performance, and I think what I love about Kaylee Spaney and Priscilla are they're very similar things. It's that she is able to really convincingly show how her attitude changes from within. So like how she starts out and we see her as this basically she's like a teen girl moving to a new neighborhood or to a new school. Like that's how Sophia chooses to start the beginning of the movie, and then she just escalates everything around it. So like she has to leave her friends, she has to leave her family and mops her dog behind. They literally take
Oh
that
man,
away from her.
that's fucking sad.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
And
So then she just
they-
gets like 4 other dogs.
well, yeah.
Yeah, but
then
they're
they
not- but they're
they
not the
strip
same.
her
They're not
of
mops.
everything.
Mops
Austrian.
Literally.
Mops does rule.
Shout
Yeah,
out
they
to
take
Mops.
her- Yeah, poor Mops. I hope Mops was
Motherfucker
well
didn't
taken
ask for
care
this.
of.
He didn't want to get her into royalty. He just wanted to be with his owner.
I don't know. Maybe Mops got to hang out with Steve Coogan. That sounds okay.
I mean, yeah, that's what we all want to do. Hang out with Steve Coogan.
I love Coogan. Coogan is one
Coogan
of
works, so.
capital J, capital G, J's guys.
Yeah.
Coogan is one of my guys.
Really?
I love those
Yeah.
trip movies.
I love
trip
Coogan.
movies are
Coogan is a guy who everything he says I find funny.
So, Sophia,
yeah.
It's just
aren't those
one of
trip
those.
movies just like us going to festivals and me like doing dumb impressions the entire time?
Honestly, yeah. It really is.
I feel like I'm more the Rob Brydon than I am the Coogan in that angle.
Am I the Coogan?
I think
Sophia's
so.
kind of
love
is
those
the
Yeah.
kind of
movies.
acidic,
Yeah.
bitter.
Yes. Yeah, I
That
would say
tracks,
so.
honestly.
And I'm the goofball. Yeah, I would say so.
You're
Though
the
I
guy
have my
who's
own.
like, no, Ryan. No one in those films ends up looking good. Ryan is like the person who bottles up his insecurities, and then eventually they.
God damn it!
blossom.
Did this turn into a fucking therapy session? What the hell
This is
just
how the
happened
name-
here?
well, this is just a review of the Trip series.
Next time on Director Watch.
I fucking love those movies. I would watch.
I do
I
too.
can watch those
But
all the time.
I do love how Coppola shows in Dunst's reaction to it as Marie Antoinette how crazy all of the pageantry seems, especially around like dressing her and undressing her. There's like that great scene when she's just standing there like covering herself up in front of all of these people, and they're deciding and basically passing on the responsibility of who gets to dress her to another person. And it's just like Sophia is so good at showing like that awkwardness of that.
It's the loss of
And
agency, though.
yeah, but that too, right? It's like at first it's like, oh, this is that kind of like dry, like darker humor that she's really good at, but then it's also like, oh, this is what she has to put up with. Like she's so good at that feeling or showing loneliness in a crowd and what that feels like. And it's like for Marie Antoinette, like she is at first at least alone really in this scenario. She has nobody and she's so young. So what else would a teenager do in that situation, right? They turn to hedonism and parties and drinking and shoes, and why wouldn't you?
And also
right?
through those exaggerated depictions of that kind of in the world prior, it does give this impressionistic reality of the modern world, which to me is really where the power of this movie lies, is through the pop music and kind of that really
so
kind of over the top kind of depiction of this world. It does, to me, it feels like it's like Mean Girls. I mean, that's really what it is to me. It's like,
well, I think it's a little bit darker.
Opulent Mean Girls, in a very sophisticated way. I think in a smart way, extraordinarily clever way.
Well, I think Jay, that's actually really an interesting point, because it's like, it's funny because like Mean Girls comes out the 2 years before, but it does feel so confident again in the direction, what she's trying to say, what she's trying to do here, doing something completely different. It's also like kind of kudos to Columbia and Sony for allowing her to see this vision and go all the way through. But then, the reaction to this is so silly, because like this is like kind of the movies I think that like that studios would want to make. It's pretty inexpensive. I mean, even 40 million
today, $40 million movies don't exist. That's the middle ground that doesn't exist anymore.
True, but like 40 million back then is not like, it's not like the worst thing in the world.
40 million back then is like 75 million.
Is it now? Well, I mean, but
60.
Yeah, that's true. But you had DVD sales and like, and stuff like that could potentially help you if you wanted to. But I think that it's just really fascinating, the rejection. I think also Cannes was probably the worst place to go and put this movie at.
I agree.
Because it becomes, it's really fascinating, just the reaction to this,
presenting this to a European audience
because now you watch
for the
it
first time is crazy.
But you watch this movie and you go like, there's nothing bad. Or like, I get what Jay's saying. There's nothing wrong, and there's nothing that you should be getting upset about. This is just a different approach to making what could have ultimately been a pretty drab, sad biopic, and adds a spice.
Napoleon.
Yeah, it could have been fucking Napoleon. Talking about a movie that lost a bunch of money in modern times. Because
it cost 6 times more
than
Marie Antoinette. Yes,
done by a lesser director than Sofia Coppola. I'm out on Ridley, by the way.
I am as well.
I mean, look, the man is, what is he, 85? Is he in his, he's in his 80s, right?
I don't think the reason why the last movie I loved from him actually was because of him.
I still haven't seen.
I think The Last Duel is clearly because of that screenplay, and that's the only one that I've liked recently. Same for The Martian. Like, he has to have a banger screenplay. He is not
a writer director. That's not.
No, he never has been. But like, he was still able with his visuals and set pieces and stuff. Or like, Gladiator's not the best written script in the world, but it works because his direction is so fucking confident, and he's able to move in that editing of that movie. Everything works. It clicks.
No movie is better than Gladiator.
Which one?
Marie Antoinette.
There you go. But yeah, well, this is just like I don't know. I every time I watch this now, I think that it's just such a gem. I find it laughable that it ever had such a horrible time finding an audience, because now it's found its audience, and it's like it's maybe a little ahead of its time. But now it's like everybody's wanted to make almost movies like this. It feels like Sophia, you were talking about somebody beforehand that clearly wants to make a movie like this. It's like Emerald Fennell clearly wants to rip off Sofia Coppola here.
Emerald Fennell would love to make Marie Antoinette. I think like Bridgerton doesn't exist without Marie Antoinette, and like all of that, those Netflix series that I haven't made it through, but that definitely is from this, right?
The Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah, those covers of, I don't know, Taylor Swift songs via violin in that show, or like,
do we need to relitigate Taylor Swift?
No, we're not. We're just saying that's what they do on that show.
Interesting.
But like, even like The Favorite, I feel like something like that also doesn't really exist without Marie Antoinette. She kind of, I think she was the one who was unafraid really to do that. And I think, of course, like there are others who have come before that I think like makes sense as reference points,
but in the modern
context, I mean,
she's recontextualizing it in a way that nobody else really has.
That's why she's so revered,
certainly as successfully as this movie does.
And she talks about how like she, with the music in it, she's kind of, it's funny, like she acts like it's no big deal, really. She's like, this was the music I grew up with, and this is how I thought about the 18th century. Like when I thought about them, this is the music I thought of. I thought of The Cure. I thought of New Order. Like I thought of that kind of like MTV pop sensibility of how do teenagers behave. And I love that she does that. Like, after the scene with Jamie Dornan, and we get that great Strokes song, and it's like, what? I mean, like a 19-year-old girl, of course, she's laying in bed thinking about Jamie Dornan while the Strokes are on in the background. Like that is just so good.
It feels like a young girl taking their first trip to Versailles with a Walkman on and a Tiger Beat magazine.
Sophomore year of high school.
Are the Strokes the most 2006 band? I think there's an argument to be made that they are the most 2006.
I would say that they are.
I would say so.
The
I mean, it's
most 2006 band you could probably.
So much of this music is firmly cemented in that era and has not really been transplanted.
When did she give
except for Ceremony by New Order, which is maybe the best song ever, which is the one played at her 18th birthday party. I love that. And All Cats Are Gray from The Cure at the end. Those are both solid.
It does help that her
and the Aphex Twin song too, which was sampled by Kanye.
It does help that her two spouses, where Spike Jonze is heavily influenced by music, and then obviously she divorced him in 2003, and then Thomas Mars, who's the lead singer of Phoenix.
She's very musically
inclined.
Yes, and she seems to be very interested in the world of music.
She was inspired by Listomania, that movie by Ken Russell from the 70s.
Yes,
and Phoenix. One of their most popular songs is called Listomania.
Yes. There you go.
That's the only reason she married him, actually.
She was like, have you seen this movie? And then they're like, marry me.
I also just think too, with the music and everything, and with like there's supposedly a shot in the movie, and you can see it during that great candy montage with the
Mm.
Manolo Blahniks, and you see the one
That's the
Converse shoe.
craziest needle drop of all of them.
Isn't
Fuck
that
yeah, it is.
crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Fuck yeah, it
love that
is.
she did that. And it
Yeah.
reminds me though of there was this great Greta Gerwig quote that I found so beautiful when I remember it still from when Little Women came out. And she was talking about Little Women, and people were asking her about a period film and what it was like to make a historical film. And she says, she's like, to them at the time, it was contemporary. Like if you're thinking like for those characters living at the
Yeah.
time, it wasn't period, it wasn't historical, it was the most modern thing that had ever happened.
Yeah.
Like they are living in the most modern time. So if you kind of think of it with that idea too, it's like these attitudes that these teenagers had in 18th century France are still, right, the attitudes that
Mhm.
teenage girls have today. And I think it's a pretty brilliant thing that she does too, because
Yeah.
what's so dark and like sad and beautiful all at the same time is that I think that this movie, it's so easy to dismiss it as apolitical or as, just showing this like, oh, this is this, like look at this poor rich girl. Like look what she went through. Do you want to empathize with this like poor little rich girl? But in reality, like that was also what was happening to Coppola at the same time, right? Like people were, I think, really dismissing her in her background. Like I think, you know, she was being accused really with this movie, I think, of making something that was apolitical and just came across as like, oh, this is this like frivolous thing, this like hangout between all these girls. Like, look at them trying on shoes and not caring about anything else.
If that
But
was
in
all it was,
reality,
it would still be good, by the way.
Yeah.
But
right,
it is
it
Yeah.
not
would
just
still
that.
be good.
Yeah.
But what happens is that by making a movie like this, the criticism of the movie at the time exactly parallels like what killed Marie Antoinette and why
Yeah.
people remember her.
It
Like,
almost, it
it's
just
that
eats
same
itself.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that's the point of the entire movie. It's like you're seeing what killed this woman and what people think of women like that, how myths are perpetuated and carried out, and why people hate women they don't understand or care to know anything about.
Trendsetters.
Or how easy it is to. I mean, the whole thing
Yeah.
with Marie Antoinette in this film, the way that it is framed in this movie is publicly you see her excess where she's planting trees that don't need to be planted and buying elephants and all that
Mhm.
stuff, when in reality where the money is going to is daringly from Sofia Coppola, it's going to the American Revolution, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's going to the American military, um, but that's not being seen domestically, obviously. And then it becomes very easy to demonize Marie in the situation because you see what she's doing, even if it is not nearly as economically impactful as what
But she's
the,
doing, but
the military is doing.
she's doing in her own way nothing no different than someone in a terrible situation would blind buy something off of like eBay or something to cheer themselves up.
She's buying stuff off
Like,
QVC, exactly.
Yeah,
She's,
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I always like it was always funny. Like this one time when I heard, just like years ago, I heard Bill Gates talk, and they were talking to him and about like how do you ever go to like do you ever gamble? Do you ever go to a casino? He goes like, yeah, but like they're not fun for me because like you have so much money buying like something small, or betting like $100, or going to the penny slots is not the same, as I need to bet like large, right? You see like large bettors have to bet big in order to win big because, they have so much. And in her case, it's like, yeah, she's buying all this in excess.
it's retail therapy.
Yeah, it's therapy because there's all these pressures. She's got essentially no life. She can't leave. The life she has there is pretty
But let's not
unglamorous.
pretend there isn't this element of like, it's also kind of nice to just be like,
Well,
this dress is awesome. And
Well, I
my
think
God, the dresses in this movie are awesome.
No, I agree, and we can talk about that here in a second. But I think Jay, she's using those as I mean, there is, you can have it both ways. You can use this as a sense of release from your stress, from your melancholy. But then there's also, there is accountability when, like, you're seeing
this is
scene
not
after scene
making
after scene after. It's not I'm not excusing
Marie,
her.
Totally.
Yeah, but I'm saying is that, like, I can understand in the moments that we see in the film and how they are presented, you understand the purchases. But then when you play it back and you start adding it all up and you go, oh, we had that dress montage and that party and that thing and that thing and that
With
thing.
nobody holding her accountable.
No one's holding her accountable because her husband is
You see these lunches where it's like, this is a lunch for 40 people.
This is for the town, baby.
Of two people who aren't interested in the food being presented.
Exactly. And then when they're like getting chased out,
way. I mean, this movie is shot
and put their heads being put out there, to get chopped off, then you're like, oh, well, that's probably where it all went wrong. You know what I mean? It's it doesn't do this, but like a modern movie, even more modern than this, would have her head in the guillotine, right? And it would be like, funny story how I got here, right? Well, let me take you back.
Marie
Antoinette.
Well, I mean,
you know what I mean?
But also, it's a
it would be
about
terrible.
how
But
gossipy these aristocrats are, which is the
too.
Barry Lyndon,
and they are the Molly Shannon of it all.
Stupid,
moaning Myrtle,
inconsiderate. Yeah, moaning Myrtle.
Fucking gossipy little bitches in this.
The crosstalk of the gossip is so good, and that also just connects to like how word was spread at the time, and how I think Coppola, like, talking about the visuals of this movie too and just how it looks, like I do want to talk about the costumes, but like the bedroom and the production designs and the pastels of the costumes, they have this decadence that's like a Rococo painting from the time, and that is really how people came to know Marie Antoinette. So like the palace would, like the French monarchy, they would like paint different portraits of Marie Antoinette that would show how they wanted her image to be communicated to the outside world. So like if they, they wanted her with her kids, or they wanted to show her as an intellectual, or they wanted to show her in a certain way, that's what they would do. And then I think Coppola plays with that again, like in how people interpreted that visually with that let them eat cake scene. She's like, I never said that. That's, that's ridiculous. Or when we see spending France into ruin over that portrait. So she's doing really playful things, I think, too, with information sharing and how that comes across.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
that
love
stuff.
that.
Also, what's a good location for shooting a film?
Versailles.
The Palace at Versailles.
Do you think she?
It's a little bit of a aesthetic cheat code.
You think Francis
really
and
is.
Francis and Sony called them up and said, "Hey,
I actually don't know the story behind how that came to be, but it is crazy how.
It's got to be a good story.
Anybody been to Versailles?
Sophia, you been to Versailles?
I have been.
Oh yeah.
I went.
Wow, Jay's been to Versailles.
Yeah, I lived there for 3 or 4 years. No, I have.
How was the rent? How was the rent, Jay?
I have visited there. It is crazy. I mean, it is. I've been to the Biltmore. I've been to Versailles. Versailles makes the Biltmore look like a tenement apartment. It's crazy. I mean, it really doesn't seem like a thing that should exist, and yet it does now as a tourist attraction, obviously. But it's crazy that was once occupied by human beings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how she got permission, though. I just, like, everything I read in preparation for this was that the French government just gave her special permission to shoot there. But it's funny because she wasn't able to shoot at Graceland for Priscilla.
Well, that's not surprising.
No, but it's just funny. Like, you would think
funny that the French are more
than shooting
the Antoinette family was not around.
Not around anymore.
We'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. But I always found, that's the difference between being a historical figure long after, the events have happened, and then a more recent. I know it's weird that the events in Priscilla are more recent, but they are in comparison to this.
Oh yeah.
And having members of the family and having that family in particular, like, quote unquote American royalty, if you want to call the Presleys that.
But also just think about the aesthetic of those two movies. It's like you could trick somebody into thinking that Marie Antoinette was this celebration of these people, and then Priscilla, you're like, ugh.
No, I think they're both. I think that's why I love Priscilla so much last year, is that it's a perfect, it's not even like a cousin, it's a perfect sister comparison to this movie, in that there are the shopping moments, and there are the moments of excess and everything, but that at the end of it, it is this girl alone in a world that she doesn't really want to be in at the end, but definitely doesn't feel like she belongs in, and doesn't, not in terms of just being that person, but I think she doesn't want to be there by the end. She's trapped, and for the most part, Priscilla is able to escape it. And this is the worst escape, is then ultimately is death. And
to the movie's credit, they don't show that, right?
No,
I think that would be disastrous.
No, I mean, I'm sure people would get mad if this movie came out and be like, well, why didn't
also
you show
Priscilla
her head
feels
come
like
off?
a movie made by a filmmaker 15 years
Yeah, they give it the
older
old
than the person who
Oppenheimer
made
complaint.
Marie
Why didn't you
Antoinette.
show her head get chopped off? You know what I mean? So because subtlety doesn't matter anymore.
Well,
you gotta see it roll, baby.
The reason I love the ending of this movie, though, it really just like punches you in the gut. It is a bleak
it's a bleak fucking ending. Yeah.
You don't, I think, like, because she makes Sofia Coppola so good at ending her movies. I mean, she has great opening shots always, but she also has great endings. Yeah. And this one, you don't, right? Like, seeing that room with that chandelier on the ground, it's like party's over, everything is done. And in that moment too, what you're also seeing is like everything there that the people used to say, like, this is why she should be dead. And at the same time, all of the reasons why people were obsessed with her and continue to be over time, it's all communicated in that one shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially the country's crown jewel is destroyed. She is the crown jewel of that country. I mean, she really is, because it's not like anybody.
Well, she is and she isn't. I mean, this is presented very subjectively, right?
I mean, she is. I mean,
Marie Antoinette. I don't think many. If you ask French, she's not the Princess Diana of France.
No, but she is considered by many to be one of the most beautiful women ever. She was young when she died. History is it is a, it's not an England's rose sort of
thing. She wasn't
thing.
that young when she died, right? She was almost 40, I believe.
37. Yeah. But history, if we think about history, though, people have a fascination with women who are murdered, especially beautiful women. Yeah. I mean, if you think about like Sharon Tate or like tragic deaths like Marilyn Monroe, like that kind
Princess
of
Diana.
iconography, Princess Diana, that's associated with, regardless of really like how they were
she was entirely a mother too.
Viewed in their lifetime. Yeah, like that's what people remember them for.
Yeah.
I'm not going on a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood tangent. I'm going to behave.
That's fine. That's for another series down the road. We'll definitely have.
I just watched half of that movie.
God, fucking brilliant movie.
Great film.
Yeah, it's one of the best movies of the last 25 years.
Kirsten Dunst could have been in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
She could have been.
She could have.
What would she have been? She would have been like the great, like the Dakota.
She could have been Sharon Tate. She's low-key the same age as Margot Robbie.
She could have been. Yeah, she could have.
She also could have had she could have replaced Lena
Dunham. I was just there you go.
Yeah, Sophia, what are your thoughts on?
She could have replaced Sydney Sweeney as one of the girls. Yeah.
On Kirsten as an actress, like overall, or like I love her. I think she's just, for me, like she was one of those actresses too that I grew up really loving. Like I loved Bring It On. I loved this movie.
Bring It On's so good.
It's so good. And she was always, I think, just like, she wasn't just this like really like beautiful teen star. She's always been a really incredible actress, I think. And I think she's always leaned into really interesting projects too. And like, I am not a Lars von Trier person, but I think she's pretty incredible in Melancholia. And I hate that he ruined her Oscar run for that
What did
before
he
it
do?
even
What did
got
he say
started.
again? What did he
Something
say?
about like Hitler being cool or
About
something.
Hitler
yeah.
and Nazis at Cannes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
You
right.
just
Because
see the
I remember
life
her
drain from
like
her face.
yeah, I remember. Didn't she win like the actress award at Cannes?
At
and
Cannes,
then
yeah.
like the minute he was at the press conference, it was just like, well, we're gonna
That's
shelve
that.
this. We're
Hey,
shelve
Lars,
this.
what are your thoughts on Kirsten winning the big prize here?
I love it. I love it. I think
reminds me of when the Nazis defeated Poland in 1939.
I wasn't a big fan of the zone of interest. It was
Oh my gosh.
wasn't
Oh, no.
funny enough for me,
But
Kirsten,
I think
she rocks.
she's great. She's perfect here too. I'm torn between like what my favorite performance of hers is.
Great film.
I'm excited for the only reason I'm seeing Civil War really is because of her.
She's fantastic in Civil War.
Oh, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
And I
Ryan's
love her
seen
with
it.
Jesse
She,
Plemons.
she's there
It'll be
with
out.
her hubby, correct?
By the time,
Mhm.
oh my God, Plemons. Oh my
I
God,
was,
he's so fucking good in that movie.
to be
It's-
rude
it's-
for a moment.
Yeah.
My
Oh, okay.
my wife has always referred to Jesse Plemons as Fat Damon.
Mm.
And then she saw pictures of them at the red carpet at the Oscars this year, and
Oh.
she said, "Oh my God, good
Matt
for
Damon's
Fat
Fat-
Damon. He
Matt-
looks amazing."
Now Matt Damon's Fat Damon.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Plemons given the honorary Philip Seymour Hoffman one scene stealing performance in that movie. He's fantastic.
Oh, he's only in it that much, huh?
Yeah, and he's fantastic. I think he actually is low-key one of our finest actors we have working today, period.
Still Landry to me, but I
will
agree.
always be Landry to me, but damn it, the man, talk about a man who has impeccable taste in picking movies. He's
Mhm.
every year he's in a movie that's nominated for Best Picture, it feels like.
Yeah. Think of all the
Um,
directors he's worked with. It's
Dan Campion,
crazy.
Scorsese, Adam McKay. But
We'll forget about it.
we'll forget about it. Everybody gets a mulligan. Yeah, no, I mean, he's really good in it. I think it comes out the week of this recording or something.
But I mean, Kirsten Dunst, we consider her Sophia's muse.
Mm-hmm.
They've only done 3 films together.
Yeah, it's like 3, right? And then a cameo in The Bling Ring. It's like 3 and
That's 4. I'll give her 4.
3.1.
It'd be nice. Let's give her 4.
Yeah. I think it's her really and Bill Murray because I mean Bill
Bill's
Murray's
done
kind of
too.
like her Marcello Mastroianni in many ways.
Murray's like like a second uncle,
Yeah.
because like Murray's in the Wes Anderson stuff and then this too. So yeah, he's big with the family. Yeah, I'm just looking at Plemons' career. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Speaking of great careers, our costume designer here is Milena Canonero.
Hell yeah.
Legend.
You think she did a good job in this film?
It's the costumes in this. It's like every single look that anyone's wearing anytime. I'm like, how did she do that?
If
How does that
somebody
come
says
together?
this is the best costumed film in history, I will say good choice.
I don't disagree.
But you know what else she is famous for making?
What is she? Oh, is she the
Did she
atonement
create
dress?
the Oreo?
She at I think like 29 won the Oscar for Barry Lyndon.
I mean,
What?
that makes sense. This
Yeah.
movie is so indebted to Barry Lyndon. It
She did
really,
the costumes
really
for Barry
is.
Lyndon.
Wow.
And she
Whoa.
also famously put Adrian Brody in the tight white t-shirt in Asteroid City. So we can thank her for a lot.
She's a West
Wow.
staple.
I know, Sophia. I know Barry Lyndon is one of your favorites ever.
Yeah.
And this movie is very much in that same
It's like
spirit.
my first or second Kubrick.
No,
Yeah.
you love it as well.
I
it's
love,
one of my
love
Letterboxd-
Barry Lyndon.
One of my
it is one of
Letterboxd
my 5 favorite movies ever made.
Wait,
Oh.
did you say that earlier in this episode? I think you did. I think you did.
I don't know. I'm You know what, Ryan? I'm going to let you take over the rest of the podcast. How about that? I will
Barry
I will
Lyndon.
stop talking for the
No,
rest of the
that's
podcast.
not true. I'm just, I can mess with you a little bit. I love you, buddy. I love
Barry
you.
Lyndon is one of my letterbox 4, and I think one of the
Oh, can I
there's
guess what
so
the
many
4 is right
things. Yeah, go ahead.
now? Okay. Is the earrings of Madame D still there?
No, I took that out and
Oh.
replaced it with another that I felt was more in line with my true favorites.
Okay. Well, three
Are there any
women's.
McKay, McKay films in there?
There's an Adam McKay, there's a Taika Waititi, there's a Kenneth Branagh.
There's a
Those are the
Gaspar
three.
No.
Yeah, Climax by Gaspar No.
3 women on there.
3 women. Yep.
All that jazz.
Phantom
Phantom
Thread.
Thread.
All that jazz is not at the moment, but it does alternate in and out. So
Okay.
that depends. But
Oh, JFK on there. You recently saw that.
oh my God. No, not JFK, but I did have quite a time seeing JFK.
Yeah.
Wow.
Masterpiece.
Chinatown.
Not Chinatown.
Woman Under the Influence.
Ordinary People.
Ordinary People. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I
But
love
Chinatown
that
could
movie.
be on any given day. Rosemary's Baby. You know, those are all the usuals. But
Those are the usual suspects, which wouldn't
Barry
be on
Lyndon.
her 4.
No, but Barry Lyndon will always be there. That's like a.
I don't know what
Firm.
would be my 4. I don't do that 4. I do a different 4.
I
do the
four are
top
always
5
the last
5-star movies you see.
4 5-star movies I've seen. Yeah,
I do that
they're
too.
always in
Yeah.
rotation.
I saw
But
that
what
from
would be-
Jay.
Ryan. Okay, let's do it. What would be if you had to say your Mount Rushmore of movies? What are
Damn,
you
that's
going with?
tough. Well, obviously, The Godfather's got to be there. I know that's a basic pick, but it's just
Yeah,
a
I mean
perfect movie.
you're a man, of course. It has to be.
I mean, Malcolm X would probably be
Godfather,
there.
Malcolm X. Okay, keep going.
I'll go Phantom Thread, or There Will Be Blood. Something PTA,
Mhm.
easily.
Yeah.
And then last one.
Oh, Days of Heaven sometimes in mine too. That's
That
another
would
one
be a
comes
good
in.
one. Oh, All the
Yeah.
President's Men,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
or
a
would
great
be
film.
up there, or Lawrence of Arabia,
Lawrence of Arabia. I'm going to go out and say I think that's a good film.
Amadeus.
But is it as good as Dune Part 2?
No, debatable.
Well, it's kind of like the
Um,
thing about Dune Part 2 is it took the imagery of Lawrence of Arabia and elevated it.
Yeah, into the gutter.
It took it to a whole new level.
God, I'm trying to think of other movies too. Kiki's Delivery Service.
Well, see, now you're at like 8.
I know.
I do love Kiki.
Well, she
Kiki
said
does
like
go-
20.
Delivery service.
I'm going to go.
Oh,
gonna go.
can I guess?
Yeah, you can guess.
Okay, well, obviously we've talked about maybe Barry Lyndon. I don't know.
Barry Lyndon is there.
The Tree of
Tree of
Life.
Life.
Tree of Life is there.
Heat.
Heat is probably there.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then maybe The Master
No, I don't think The Master.
for PTA. You wouldn't put that's your favorite PTA?
No, you're forgetting one of my favorites.
Oh. No.
do you have all that jazz?
Or All That Jazz,
All That
is
Jazz would
not
be up
quite
there.
top 4. I think Shortcuts is in my top.
Shortcuts.
Oh.
That's right.
Nice.
That's your Altman. Yeah,
my
if I had an Altman, it'd be McCabe Miss Miller. We all know that.
Yeah.
And the Red
There's
Shoes.
so many. Mishima is right there.
Maybe
Matter
I'll
of Life and
replace
Death.
all my top
Matter
4
of
with
Life of Death
Altman.
is right there.
Matter of Life and Death. Yeah, this is a good game.
It's a
Yeah.
good game. Yeah.
I love
and
movies.
I
We're
love
doing the
All
movies.
That
Letterbox top
Jazz.
4 here.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice the little All That Jazz homage in the movie?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things. I think this
part?
just like comes from watching this movie so
Is this
many
when
times.
she does
but
the Quaaludes? Or
when
She does
Marie
pizza.
Antoinette, when she wakes up to get ready in the morning, Vivaldi's Concerto 8
oh yes, it
plays.
does.
Just like
It
when Joe
does.
Gideon gets up in the morning and all that jazz.
It's showtime.
It's showtime.
God, I love that movie. That was such
So
a great.
good.
That was such a great experience last
I do
year.
love how
seeing it on the big
joyous
screen.
that just generally how joyous this movie can be and then how sad it can be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's you know what that's called, Jay.
I love movies like that.
That's called the Coppola thing.
It's called life. It's called life, buddy.
I mean, it's great because this movie is not life
No, it's not.
whatsoever. It's not life, but it is life.
But
It's-
damn it, it's
it's recontextualizing a world that we will never understand into an experience that we can understand.
Exactly.
That's beautiful storytelling.
Anything else you guys want to say about Marie Antoinette?
Honestly, I don't even feel like we've talked about the movie that much.
You want to talk about it?
You know what? Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
So the film.
So Jay, what did you think of the film?
No, I mean I think we've talked about the feelings of this movie effectively, but
Okay.
it is. I mean, you talk about specific moments of this film, and we talk about it all the time. The dad bump of this movie when they are able to have their first child, and you see her daughter in the garden, and she's teaching her how to talk about the flowers and all that stuff. It's extraordinarily moving, and when she has her own kind of village, it's like, oh, she's kind of like the fully realized version of herself, but then it's like she can never really be that version of herself. And it's, I mean, look, even today English royalty are being cloned and duplicated in shopping villages.
Where is Kate Middleton?
King Charles is dead. I don't give a shit what anyone says.
Where's Kate?
Where's Kate? I want to know. Is Meghan behind it? She'll never tell.
But it is. I mean, it truly, aesthetically, this is one of the most beautiful films of the 21st century. It really is.
It really is. It's one of the most confidently beautiful ones too, without being overtly in your face about it. It's so realized. I mean, like, that's the thing. It's the constant thing when you watch her movies, is that she has clear homage to films that she loves, but she's putting her unique spin on it. And I think what's so interesting about doing the Coppola series is that it's a step below the generation of somebody like a PTA, but it definitely has that same lens and feel of somebody that has so much appreciation for the past, but yet is putting their voice to a specific story that only they can tell. And I do think that through what you would assume to be a fun romp and would be like a comedy, it turns into something much more real. Like, no joke about it, but it does feel more real and lived in and personal. I mean, like, Jay, you brought up, I think, a little bit, or maybe it was Sophia, about like how this feels almost like she sees a little bit of herself in Marie Antoinette and this experience that she's gone through. Definitely gonna feel that next week when we talk about Somewhere, which is just like her finding her own.
Virgin Suicides to Lost in Translation to this is like something that she might not inherently understand, to a world of isolation that feels like something she might have felt secondarily to her life. In this very impressionistic way.
But also that most of this glitz and glamour is an empty, hollow experience that kind of consumes you and eats you alive. That's what at least I felt when I was watching it a little bit more. If you're looking at through the Sophia
That's probably
Coppola,
what 3/4 of her movies are about.
It's true, but I think that she calls back to that a lot because she's one of the most, I mean, her father is one of the most popular directors of all time.
Who's her father?
Francis Ford Coppola, I believe.
Oh, he's the wine guy.
Yeah, he's stomping those grapes at the winery.
Megalopolis.
But yeah, no, I just think that I agree with you, Jay. I think it's one of the most beautiful movies you'll ever see. I mean,
Sophia, is this your favorite Sophia?
It is my favorite Sophia.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's my favorite Sophia. So I wanted to talk about it, I think, first, because I think across her filmography is just the most interesting one to talk about, just because of the reception to it, what it's saying, how it fits into the rest of her filmography, where it came in her career. But it is my favorite. I mean, I have a few of her movies that are, for me, 5-star, like why she's one of my favorite directors.
Yeah, we never talked about your general ideas on Sophia, so
I think we did.
Floor is yours.
I mentioned them a bit at the top.
We talked to it a little bit.
Yeah, for me, it's like what I love about
thinking
her
I didn't do my
something...
job, you jerk.
It's something I mentioned before on
You're
other
kind of the
shows.
Louis 16th of hosts, if I'm
Oh.
being honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's pretty.
You got a
That's
little
kind of,
you got a little Schwartzman in you.
yeah, it's a little rude. Yeah.
There's no virility to your
All right, calm down, mops.
okay.
Anyway,
Right.
yeah.
I'm Rose Byrne. We
There
still
you
need to
go.
talk about her.
Hell yeah.
God.
But I think with one of the things I love about Sofia Coppola and what I always come back to is that, like you were saying with Marie Antoinette, I think there is a sadness and an emptiness in a world of beautiful things. And I think she understands that, but she also loves and understands specifically the draw that women have to objects and to beautiful things, and why like we like and are obsessed with certain spaces and in fashion. And I mean, if we think about like Marie Antoinette, she really was one of our earliest fashion icons that we
Yep.
have, and she kind of infiltrated collections and designers, I mean, Alexander McQueen, so many different places. But I think one of the things that I love about Sophia is that her films always feel like very, for me, like they have that combination of the light and the dark. And that's what I love about PTA movies as well. I need that combination. I love when movies are very sad, but can also, I think, just make you feel something very deeply because of how the director is showing the characters and what they're saying. And I think she's one of our most empathetic filmmakers. Like regardless of the subject matter, I think she has just this inherent empathy for teenage girls. And again, I mean, growing up and watching her movies and discovering them, there was just like I didn't know anyone like her. I didn't have any other reference point really like her, and that was like so important for me in discovering, who I was as a movie watcher and more. I mean, it's like she says in Virgin Suicides, one of the Lisbon sisters, and she's like, you haven't been a teenage girl or a 13-year-old girl, to the doctor. It's like, being a teenage girl is a very isolating, weird experience. And I feel like Sofia Coppola sees that like pain and beauty within that and understands what it's like to come out and see that from the other side.
Yeah. Jay,
Is
your
Sofia
thought?
Coppola the most significant female filmmaker of the last 25 years?
Not even close. I think so.
Yeah.
Probably so. Either her or Catherine Bigelow.
I think she is. I think what I love about what's interesting in if you compare Catherine Bigelow and Sofia Coppola is that like Sophia's aesthetic is just it's so unapologetically feminine.
Yeah.
And Catherine Bigelow, in order for her to find success and be able to make the movies she wanted to make in Hollywood, she had to kind of lean into things that people thought were
I think she's
stereotypically
manipulating that idea,
Totally.
but
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
I think she's
leaning.
She's finding
into-
unorthodox ways of being in masculine.
She knows.
She knows what
she's
she's
doing.
doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
She's got her
She's
aesthetic
brilliant too.
Yeah, she's got her aesthetic deep within inside, mostly what you would consider bro or macho.
and then Emerald Fennel, of course.
Yeah, and then well, I mean, I would probably say, Jane's up there too.
I love Jane Campion.
Jane
She's
Campion
had
is certainly up there.
she's had such an up and down career where she's made masterpieces and then other films that have been kind of critically
True, but I think
rejected.
she's inspirational from the aspect of that the system has tried to spit her out or chew her up so many times, and her unwillingness to still be unapologetically herself within her projects while also continuously trying to just do her own thing and be patient with it. I mean, the sad thing is a lot of female directors, it takes them either have to have a perfect resume or it takes them forever to get their next film. Like for a man, it's probably the average. It feels like a 2 to 4 year average for a man. And for like somebody like, I think of like Deborah Granick as a perfect example of somebody like took them a whole fucking decade to make her follow-up movie. And it's not to say that isn't the case for male directors, but it feels more like Like Tamara Jenkins is another person too that like it took forever for Private Life After the Savages and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it
Oh, I love Jane Campion
I
too.
think Jane provides the patience that female directors shouldn't have to have, but clearly have had. But I think it's getting better. You know, for better.
Jane
You
and
know,
Sophia also have like a very similar, like when I watch their films, it's like when I think about like The Power of the Dog or The Piano,
I know it's
like
them.
you can feel also that environment. Like it's so
Oh
tactile
yeah.
and you can feel like the bedroom that the character's in or the exterior world that they're living in. It's interesting because I think Campion loves outside, like she loves to
Yeah,
be in nature, and Coppola thrives in
of
indoor
course.
interior
Yeah.
settings, which is interesting.
Yeah.
But they both have, I think, that similar thing, and that's, I think, something that a lot of like female directors that I love, they have that kind of that sensibility.
Do we have
Joanna
a
Hogg is the same way.
Do we have a fourth
Um,
one? Fourth influential? Just to make it a letterbox for. I have one.
Greta.
Nancy.
well, oh, don't get me started on Nancy Myers,
I
my
think
other
I don't
queen.
think I don't think I think a movie like Barbie doesn't exist if Nancy doesn't make the big studio movies that she does. But then I think that's also Nora Ephron there too
Hmm.
and
Nancy's a
everything.
box office
She's a
queen. Give her
fucking
money.
juggernaut.
People will go see her
She's
movies.
the juggernaut, bitch. Like I swear to God, every movie, like think like okay, the movie like The Intern, which
Hmm.
is I love The Intern.
I do too.
Um, that movie you'd be like, okay, that movie didn't make a lot of money, right? And then you look up how much money it made, and you're like, holy shit, that made a lot of money.
Oh my god,
Like,
it made
Almost
150
$200
million
million.
dollars, and then you're
Yeah,
like, oh my god, it cost 145 million
no, it
dollars.
didn't
How is
cost.
that
It
possible?
wasn't
The
that much.
intern cost
No, I'm
35
kidding,
million
but
and made almost 200
no,
million.
Nancy's
That is insane.
she's a
That's
huge success.
crazy.
I just watched It's Complicated for the first time this week,
Well,
and I enjoyed
there's
it.
Love her.
that movie's. I love that movie. I love all Nancy's movies.
Something's got to give.
Well, there's
Made
one I don't.
266 million.
Well, there's one Nancy movie I don't particularly go back to the well to a lot, but it's her most
Is that
successful.
what women want?
Yeah, I don't go back to the well for that one, but it's also her most successful one.
Melly Mel.
Melly Mel. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know.
It's our next series.
What? Mel Gibson?
Oh my God.
Mel Gibson's a pretty good director.
He does. I was gonna say he actually has some. Those would be episodes for sure. Is he still got that Passion of the Christ sequel coming out?
Apparently,
Mel
he was
Gibson?
supposed to make a Wild Bunch remake with
Actually,
Fassbender in the lead, but that
Really?
fell apart. Yeah,
Did it fall
We
apart?
can't taint this great Sophia episode with Mel Gibson director
no,
talk.
I'm
No,
sorry.
that would be like a Robert Downey Jr. speech, right? Anyway. All right.
But that took me a minute.
Yeah, it took
This
you.
movie is
It took you a
this
second.
movie. I honestly feel like we haven't really given this movie its full.
I think we have.
I mean, it is. I
We've done a
I
good
don't know.
job.
I adore this movie. There are so many performances that are
Rose Byrne.
so great. I mean, Rose Byrne is amazing. Molly
we-
Shannon is amazing.
we
Jamie
talk-
Dornan is just the hottest person that's ever
Yeah.
lived.
Rose Byrne
Uh,
is so great at the like girl you need to befriend at a party role.
I think
That
Judy
is her.
I think Judy Davis is great. in this
Oh
movie.
yeah.
She's
she
fucking
is.
incredible in this movie. Like,
And it's interesting that I think Sofia Coppola put so many people known for comedic roles or that had like connections to either other directors or musicians in
Mhm.
this movie. It just, I think, escalates or enhances really that MTV pop sensibility that she's going for here.
very
Yeah,
90s.
it's interesting because I feel that this is going to be maybe something that you have on most of your Sofia Coppola episodes, really, in talking about plot or going through specific scenes in the movie, because she's such an impressionistic filmmaker that it's difficult, I think, to talk about her films like in a linear fashion as you go through them, or to really feel like you do
Yeah.
anything justice, because so much of it, I think, really is that feeling and experience that you have in watching it and in thinking about like her abilities like with what she does, I think that's so beautiful, is she takes her time. Oh,
Sophia, you completely paused for a second.
really?
Yeah. Right, Jay?
Start over when you said the thing about your Sofia Coppola series is going to be ...
Oh, whoa.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
long time ago.
That
Weird.
It was
Yeah.
about 25 seconds ago or so.
Yeah.
I wonder why that happened.
It's
Weird.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Anyway, let me go back. Let me think.
Count yourself
Okay.
into it, please.
3, 2, 1. I think one of the most challenging things you guys might have in your Sofia Coppola series really is, and I think it might be through all of her films, maybe some more than others, is in talking about them really in a linear fashion because they are so impressionistic. Like you might never feel like you're going to be like do them justice because you can't really talk about them in the same way that you can other films. And I think when I think of Sofia Coppola, I think of her as a great impressionist when we think about how she puts together these memory pieces or how she constructs characters in a way that is all nearly all visual. And I think in talking about maybe how she does that best here, there are a couple of things I really love. One, this shot where we have this slow zoom out of Marie on that balcony. So when she opens up the
Oh,
window,
God. So 70s.
it's so 70s. It's so Barry Lyndon, Kubrick zoom as the camera zooms out and we just see her and she just looks like this tiny little girl in this huge palace. And then she replicates that at the end when all the mob is outside and we see her go
She does
back
the
out
bow.
again and she does the bow. And it's a really dark, I think, sad moment. And then the other thing that she also does in Priscilla that I think is really interesting is that the beginning of the movie, I think in, when she's like figuring out her new environment, it's very slow paced and drawn out a bit more, I think, as we get into the action. And then as the passage of time, as she has kids or I think she's feeling out her relationship a bit more, then it escalates, time becomes more rapid as it's passing. And I agree. I think the moments with her children are really, really beautiful too.
Yeah.
It is very funny when Kirsten Dunst is like, "Oh, look at the blue flower," and then the little girl is like, "Oh, le bleu." It's like, why are you speaking a different language? I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like maybe that's thematically important, but it is just on the surface very, very funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then later she speaks English. The little girl.
And then she's totally fine later. So
I do love that she doesn't give them British accents because that's one of my biggest pet peeves when a director is just like a movie takes place in France or Italy or another country, and just because it's in another time period, they give the actors all British accents.
European. English means European.
I think that it actually is kind of great that it is mostly in English accents, like American accents.
Uh-huh.
To just oppose that really these accents.
You don't think Rip Torn sounds French?
Well, hear me out. Why I think it's good, doofus.
Rip Torn.
I'm King Louis the
I'm Rip Torn. Is because like what you were saying earlier, Jay, about the downfall of this run of their monarchy, essentially of Louis the 16th and Marie Antoinette, is because of the American Revolution. So the idea of American voices being the ones that are in the palace and the ones with while the real French people are starting a revolution against the people that sound more American than they do sound French. I do kind of find that to be an interesting thing, whether that's intentional or not by Sofia Coppola. I find that to actually be really interesting, and when you think about it in terms of why everything went bankrupt and went up shit's creek for this entire system is because they were helping the Americans in their independence, and their own independence is then caused by the hands of real French people, and and their thought process is blood for blood. in that sense. And so I don't know. I find that to be really an interesting little tidbit that maybe the French audiences didn't get when they first saw it because they were booing the shit out of her for no goddamn reason.
They didn't get it.
They didn't get it. Then you know what? Those French are not really smart. Anyway, I'm not saying you
Except
know.
for the hot lawyer from Anatomy of a Fall.
Well, I mean, we can't all be the exception that breaks the rule.
I hate that that was my example. Like,
Nah,
of all
no.
of the people in French cinema, that is where my mind went first.
And, hey, I mean, his Wikipedia page is astonishing.
It's so beautiful.
It's like
He really
what you
is.
want. It's honestly, it's what you want
He's a
man.
woman's man.
Yeah, exactly. So, Jay,
Yes, sir.
Jay, are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, I thought I lost you.
I was lost in the beautiful fashion of
Yeah.
From
France.
Versailles.
Yeah, I
It's
thought
too
you got
big.
lost down in Versailles, and I had to come
I
find you.
love the Cure needle drop for the credits. I will say that.
Yeah, there you go.
All cats are gray.
Jay, before we get out of here, we're going to test your award season knowledge based on the film we just reviewed.
Yeah.
In a segment we like to call It's an Honor to Get Nominated. J-Dog, as we talked about in previous episode, Sofia Coppola, Oscar winner. But was Marie Antoinette nominated for any Oscars, Jay?
Okay, so this is interesting. It was not liked,
No.
which generally does not bode well for a film's Oscar chances.
Right? You would think.
However, if this was not nominated for costumes, I am truly going to disregard the Oscars moving forward.
Which
and
is-
we're going to end this segment. I am sad to say.
So, Jay, do you think it was nominated for the Oscar for best costume?
Surely it was, and honestly, it needed to win. So I'm going to say that it won that Oscar.
Jay, you
Uh-huh.
are absolutely correct.
It won costumes.
Correct.
Mhm.
Thank God. They're not
No.
completely oblivious.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Didn't get makeup.
Nope.
That's
That's
silly.
a crazy one. It should have gotten makeup.
Over
Hair and makeup?
fucking
Are you kidding me?
the 3 nominees for best hair and makeup:
Mm-hmm.
Pan's Labyrinth,
I mean, good.
Apocalypto, speaking of Melly Mel,
Good.
and Click.
What is
Excuse
the
me?
hair and makeup in Click?
Click.
Wait, that's Kazuhiro, right? Like Maestro.
Yes, it is.
Kazuhiro.
Yeah, Kazuhiro.
Whoa, are you talking about the Adam Sandler film?
I am talking about the Adam Sandler film.
What
What is the
makeup is
makeup?
there in Click?
When he ages, as he ages through the fast forwarding sequences at
Oh my god.
the fact that I fucking know that drives me nuts. But yeah,
I mean, forget about like whatever makeup. Hair. Are you kidding me?
Those
no.
wigs.
I'm not the Academy. What do you both get? Sophia's turning on me too. Like, I didn't do it. I didn't nominate Click.
No, I'm mad at them. I'm mad at
Don't
them.
be mad at
That was
them.
the only nomination for Marie Antoinette was
Costume design.
Costumes.
Would you have given it
That's silly.
art direction / production design?
Like, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
It's a good-
Do you give the
Yeah.
designers of Versailles an honorary Oscar or whatever?
I mean,
guess.
yeah, just because you said it there, it doesn't mean that like they didn't build sets or put things in there,
Mhm.
Jay. Like,
No, they
yeah.
definitely did plenty of work.
But I mean,
on
it is a pretty stacked art direction / production design.
I do remember
category.
going to the craziest thing that I
It's
remember
actually
from
really good.
going to the actual Versailles was going to their giant outdoor little lake pool thing.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, yeah, they used to just for fun sail ships out here. And I was like, excuse me? They used to just get ships transported to their pool and fire cannonballs at each other. And they were like, pretty much.
So the art direction nominations, which is essentially production design, they just changed
Mhm.
the name. The winner was Pan's Labyrinth.
I mean, good.
Yeah. Dreamgirls. That makes sense. It makes sense. They created
Period
like,
piece.
Motown. Yeah.
Whatever.
The Good Shepherd. You guys ever seen The
Oh.
Good Shepherd?
Yeah, I have.
Good movie.
hmm
De Niro needs to make another movie, like direct another movie. His two directorial films are pretty good. Bronx Tale and The Good Shepherd. I will say that. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. It's the second one.
I mean, good design.
It's very good design. Gore knows how to make good designs.
Gore is a stylist.
I like Gore. And then The Prestige.
Ooh, I like
Very
that.
well designed film.
Yeah.
That's
I
no one.
love
Baby.
The Prestige.
I could find a spot for Marie Antoinette in there.
Yeah.
I'd find it in cinematography.
Editing for me.
Okay, so editing. Obviously, our winner was Thelma Schoonmaker for The Departed.
Queen.
Babel. Or Babel.
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 Oh,
That's
that movie.
the way Schwarzenegger said it. Babel. The Golden Globes. Blood Diamond.
Oh man. You know what's an interesting thing about South Africa? It's actually bling bang there instead of bling bling.
Bling bling. Yeah, all right. There
Yeah.
you go, Jay. Thank God you didn't do an accent there. We would have been canceled. Children of Men
Love that movie.
and
Great
United
film.
93.
Oh,
Talk about a real.
I would give this this
Memory
is in
foam.
my top 5 of 2006 films.
Well, that's tough. It
I think
definitely.
it would be for me
I'm,
too.
I'm looking at it. I would give it a group of 5 best pick nomination
Really?
personally.
This is
yes.
my favorite movie of 2006.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm sorry.
As-
I'm doing this right now.
A white man in his early 30s. Unfortunately, I do have to say Miami Vice is my favorite film of this year.
I was going to say.
But Marie Antoinette is right up there. It's 2 or 3, I think, of the year for me.
Yeah, it's pretty high up there for me, you guys.
Let me look.
I'm just trying to.
It's a wonderful film. I mean, this was the year that Crank came out, of course. Jackass number 2. Apocalypto, Melly Mel. That movie is actually really good.
I do like Children of Men a lot.
Children of Men is great. My favorite James Bond movie was
Casino
released this year.
Royale. Oh, what a good movie.
Nancy Meyers' The Holiday is 2006.
Wait, the holidays this year?
Yeah.
Stop the press.
Not saying that's my favorite, but
No,
Voltaire, I think
The
one
Devil
of
Wears Prada
Almodovar's
is 2006.
The Devil Wears Prada, one of Ali Ledbetter's favorite films of
I have
all
seen that
time.
movie so many times.
I fucking love The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah.
I do too. Meryl Streep deserved
Absolute
Oscar
bullshit.
nomination.
Well, she did get nominated.
No, deserved. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Very deserved nomination.
Wrong category though.
She's one of those people that was just always a lead.
But it's Anne Hathaway's movie, Sophia.
What did I
It's
just
clearly
watch?
it's clearly Anne Hathaway's movie. Like it's not even close. We follow Andy's story throughout that movie.
We do, but Miranda is always the one I'm thinking of.
I mean, honestly, if anyone should have got a nomination,
Emily Blunt.
well, I was going to say
Adrian Gurdier.
No, I was going to say the Tooch.
Is that his name?
Oh, I love the Tooch in it.
Adrian
Tooch should have
Gurdier.
got in. I would have kicked out Mark Wahlberg for The Departed.
Oh God.
Oh my God, he's amazing in The Departed. Are you
Yeah,
kidding me?
but I would put in Jack because Jack's amazing in The Departed.
Oh, Jack and The Departed.
How did Leo and Matt Damon not get nominated for The Departed?
The weirdest thing is Leo getting nominated for Blood Diamond instead.
Yeah.
Well, you're forgetting that in South Africa it's bling bang
No, not Bling Bling.
instead of bling bling.
Would you nominate Kirsten Dunst in Best Actress?
Tell me
But
who the nominees were.
Well, the winner was the Queen herself, Helen Mirren.
I mean, kick her out. Kirsten Dunst better.
Whoa, I wouldn't kick out Helen Mirren. She's really good in that movie.
I would kick her out of The Win.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. But I think she's really good in that movie. Penelope Cruz in Voltaire.
An incredible performance.
Incredible performance.
This is a pretty good year for Best
Judi
Actress, I gotta
Dench
say.
in Notes on a Scandal. It's actually a really good performance from Dench. That's.
She took
Mhm.
those notes.
Do you know what Notes on a Scandal is about?
No, I have not seen Notes on a Scandal.
I think you
I
know
love
what.
it.
It's an insane movie. It
Did she
really
take those?
is.
Did she
The
take those
score
notes?
is so good.
It's not about that. It's not about taking notes, you psychopath. It's like
Taking
about like
notes.
it's about like a woman who becomes obsessed with
It's
a
about
younger
the world's greatest secretary.
No. So it's about Judi Dench plays another teacher, right? Or is she a neighbor or something like that? And she becomes really fixated on a younger teacher that comes into the town, played by Kate Blanchett. And Blanchett has an affair with a student.
I'd be fixated on Kate Blanchett as well.
I mean, I would too.
Me too.
And then because she wants to be friends with her, like Judi Dench basically like quid pro quos her. But then she unravels her life from behind the scenes as well too.
This is a little bit of a Eminem Stan situation.
Sure, Jay. Yeah. Okay. Meryl
Dear
Streep.
Slim.
Meryl Streep, The Devil Wears Prada. I'm not going to argue the nomination.
Yeah, whatever. It is a supporting performance.
It's a supporting performance. Anne Hathaway's movie.
But I wouldn't put Anne Hathaway there.
No, I wouldn't. but I would put Meryl Streep there. Yeah. She is the titular role.
It is the first thing that you think about when you think about The Devil Wears Prada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess so. All right. And Kate Winslet for Little Children, who is phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Little
great.
Children.
Yeah.
It's probably Winslet's best nominated performance. Right?
I would say so, but I do like her. I mean, Eternal Sunshine is.
Oh, was
probably
she
a good one
nominated for
her,
Eternal
too.
Sunshine too? Okay.
Yeah.
Then it's probably those two. Yeah.
Not The Reader.
She should have won for Revolutionary Road if she was going to win for her performance that year, which she was destined to win for one that year, but should have been Revolutionary Road.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I wanted her to win. I'm just saying
I know what you mean. I'm thinking of
like
The
the
Reader,
legacy
that's
of The
why I made that
Reader
face.
is shit. I rather
It's
and
really
Revolutionary Road. It's her Leo.
The legacy of The Reader is that Hugh Jackman made a joke about it at the Oscars.
The legacy of The Reader is The Dark
Look
Knight.
at you referencing the Oscars.
Look at you becoming a Oscar savant.
I love the Oscars. Oh my god! No,
I like Kate in Sense and Sensibility.
You get
too.
him on
I like
one
that
Kevin
nomination.
Jacobson podcast, and the ego goes right up to the top. Sense and Sensibility. Yeah, she's pretty good in that. She's a good actress. I wish she would do good things again.
Love her in Mayor of Easttown.
Yes, I'm talking about like movie wise. Well, I guess
what if there was?
She was good
there was
in
a mayor
Avatar
in
2.
Easttown?
She was good in Avatar 2. No, she was.
Yeah. No, she was. It's just I'm thinking of that
Avatar.
picture of her underwater. That's why I'm laughing.
Like just being stuck there in a tank
Yeah.
for 12 years.
Her
Yeah,
arms out,
exactly.
yeah.
Like she's doing the Titanic pose.
Mhm.
Yeah. Would you nominate anybody in the supporting categories?
Oh,
Yeah, this is a top 10 movie for me, by the way, Marie Antoinette. And I would kick
this is a top fiver. This is a top fiver.
I would kick Streep out. Because
You
it's
would
category fraud.
just because of category fraud.
Yeah, and I love the other performances. I think the other performances are fantastic.
I'm okay with that if you put her in supporting because that's a little bit easier.
I would put
I didn't like how Judi Dench took those notes.
She's really good in that.
I would take
believe you,
I would take
but-
Streep and put her in supporting, and I would kick out probably Barraza for Babel. Yeah, that's what I do.
Babel can leave.
Or I would kick out Breslin for Little Miss Sunshine. Not a big fan of that movie. So
You guys
Oh,
don't
really?
I think
talk
it's
about
fine, but I haven't
Babel
seen it in
every day.
forever. I haven't seen it in forever.
You think about Babel every day.
I don't even just think about I am forced to talk about it by people that I come across on a
How do
daily
you-
basis.
I know you're joking, but would you nominate? Oh, obviously,
In
everybody
my
here
most
would.
recent job interview, they asked me, "What are your thoughts on Babel?"
And you were like, "Well, I got to answer this." Honestly,
Like, God, I don't have a great
Um,
memory of that film.
would you? And
Had
Sophia
a great
Cop-
cast.
would Sofia Coppola get nominated in director for all of you?
Yes, of course.
I think so.
Who would you-
Cinematography.
Who would you kick her out for?
I'd probably kick out a few this year, honestly. Get rid of Inarritu for Babel.
Yeah,
Don't need that.
don't need Frears.
Honestly, don't need Frears there.
Don't
Let's
need.
put Nolan in for The Prestige.
Ooh, I would put Alfonso Cuarón in for Children. of
Prestige, incredibly
Alfonso
important
Cuarón
movie for high school Jay.
Children of Men.
I gotta
Yeah.
say this though. I keep Old Man Eastwood. Letters from Iwo Jima is a really good movie.
He's a good director.
It's really good. And also he had Flags from Our Fathers. It's like it's a real achievement of a
What's
year
the best?
kind of,
What's your favorite Eastwood?
of all time.
Unforgiven. I
Mine,
said that very quickly, but that's
I think
what mine is.
mine might be Bridges.
Ooh,
I might want to cross that bridge.
that's really good. That's
Oh,
either.
I just watched that this past weekend, you guys.
Do you not? Have you never seen it before?
No, I had, but it was years ago,
It's
and I
beautiful.
was sobbing.
It's Meryl's
I
best
don't
performance.
I don't do that normally, but I was a disaster. Like choke sobbing
It's my
at the
favorite
end.
Meryl. It's my favorite Meryl Streep performance, easily.
Yeah,
Not even close.
she should have won that
Mine's
year.
fucking-
Ricky. Mine's
fucking-
Ricky in the Flash.
I mean, she is really good in Ricky and the Flash. I know you're being a jokester.
He is
but
actually
she's
good in
really
Ricky
good
and
in
the
that
Flash.
movie.
Okay. Let me do. Mine's Marvin's Room.
Marvin's, get out of that fucking room, Marvin. It's
You gotta occupy that.
Ironheart. Is that one of the movies she was in? No, I don't know. Ironweed.
Ironweed, yes.
Yeah, Ironweed. That's what it is.
Bridges might be my favorite actually too. Now that I think of it,
I think it's Unforgiven just because of the commentary it says on Eastwood's career as one of the faces of the Western. I think it's a pretty undeniable film, and Hackman's
It's undeniable
extraordinary.
for sure.
I think $1 Million Baby is a masterpiece too. And
You seem to be forgetting how he photographed that bridge, though.
yeah, no, but
He
Bridges
shot
of
the
Madison,
hell out of that
Bridges
bridge.
of Madison County. It's like those are his three best movies.
the rain at the end.
Yeah. What would be a fourth? Does he have a fourth one?
What were the three that you said?
Bridges, Unforgiven, and $1 Million Baby.
The
yeah,
mule.
$1 Million Baby is great.
The
The Mule is actually quite good.
Mule is a wild fucking fantasy.
It
if there
is.
ever was one. I'm trying to
Cry
look at
Macho.
fuck that movie. I hate that movie.
Crime Macho. I didn't even.
What do we think of
hate-
Juror number 2?
Oh my god. There's a moment in Cry Macho where he like bends down to pick something up or look under the
Did you-
car.
did you not
thought
think
his
he was gonna
knees
get
were
up?
Gonna break. Like I think you can hear them crack.
Oh my God, Sophia. It's pretty mean to old man Eastwood.
I know.
I mean, Sully's good. Richard Jewell is good.
Sully is good. Richard Jewell is
Richard Jewell is good.
good. I like
I thought it was pretty good.
I like Mystic River until the last 5 minutes when Laura Linney starts talking and telling us like you're a powerful man. It's like, God damn it, Clint, cut this shit out.
I
The
do
one
love
thing
Laura
that
Linney,
I've
but,
never
yeah.
understood about Mystic River is or is not that his daughter in there.
You don't know that? Is that my dollar in there? Oh God.
I kind of feel like
Clint-
Sean Penn was modeling his career after Eastwood and just failed.
Well, Eastwood's never yelled like that. I'm sorry.
My thing about Sean Penn in Mystic River though is that I think Hugh Jackman in Prisoners is like that times 10.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
It's
he's
like, what if
yeah.
I was even louder?
When's Clint Eastwood played a homosexual? Paint Your Wagon?
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Oh, okay. There you go.
It's very subtle. He must have missed it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Those looks from across the dusty plains. Probably Letters from Iwo Jima is his fourth best movie. Eastwood.
Yeah.
He would be a long, fascinating series to do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of shit in there. There's a lot of bad movies in there. J. Edgar. Talking, oh my God. American Sniper. What's the train
Baby.
movie? What's the train movie?
Isn't it the
15, 17?
17
Oh,
to
15,
Paris?
17 to Paris. Honestly,
Yeah.
a fascinating film.
Not particularly good, but a fascinating one.
I will say this too. American Sniper, seeing that in Alabama, one of the most fascinating viewing theater experiences I've ever had.
Was it like, what was it? Like watching WrestleMania?
It was like people were watching the most
Jaws?
important piece of art that they had. I remember walking out of that movie and it being like, things are different now.
And you were like, it's fine. Right?
I think
movie's
Bradley
not-
Cooper is kind of awesome in that movie.
I think, man, that Cooper's committed,
It's not
but
a bad nomination for him. I don't
it's
think.
just it's a bad movie though. It's not.
I don't think
good.
it's an all the way
The
bad
Baby.
movie. You dig into that thing, you like put a fingernail to the surface of that movie, and you are kind of like, oh my god,
This is bad.
But
Well, it was also
in a vacuum, it is an effective film.
it affected
if
the
you
right
don't
audience.
think
That's
about
for
it.
sure.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
It made
yeah.
so much money.
It made
So
an unbelievable amount of money.
and then that basically was the reason why
Maestro doesn't exist without American Sniper,
Okay, I don't know about that.
and we'd be better off.
I
with
think
that.
that's kind of true that it wouldn't exist without.
No, because like Bradley
Eastwood is Cooper's
yeah,
gateway,
100%.
100%.
Well, him and Todd Phillips, because Todd Phillips has that blank check for Warner Brothers too. So The Hangover plus American Sniper, that's what led it to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Eastwood's not producing his movies though. He's Cooper's movies, but Phillips is.
Cooper's been pretty open about Eastwood kind of being his mentor.
Well, yeah, but it's because they were hanging out and drinking.
But that was just
mule.
between takes. It was like 15 seconds at a time.
Yeah, and they worked together on the Mule.
I love Bradley Cooper and the Mule.
Actually, he's the problem with him is that he's not in the Mule enough.
You know what, Bradley
he's
Cooper
great in the Mule.
absolutely rocks in?
Which one?
Licorice Pizza.
Joy.
He's actually really good in Joy.
He's so good in Joy.
He's good in
bad movie.
He's good in American Hustle. I'll go on the record with
I
that.
think there's a lot of people that are good in America. I'm an American Hustle apologist.
I think that movie. I think that script is bad.
Renner is so good in American Hustle.
Renner is really good. Yeah, I don't think Lawrence is good, but I think Adams is.
Adams.
Oh, mama mia!
He's giving a
Here
very
I go
important
again.
performance in that film.
And Bale's doing his thing, and I'm always there for a committed Bale performance.
He gave himself a belly, which he loves to do.
He really is like. God, is Christian Bale just gonna? He's gonna be one of those guys soon, right? That gets another Oscar. Like he's gonna deliver some performance out of the.
Doing?
But like no, he's gonna come. He's gonna come out of nowhere though, and he's gonna deliver something, and people are gonna be like, because he's so revered. He's so revered as like a transformative actor. Like
actors love that.
Love
Who do you
that.
think he should
guy.
play? Elon Musk? Will he play Elon Musk in the Aronofsky movie?
He should. Honestly, he
happen.
would be really good. Honestly, it would be a good choice. It's good. It's good.
That was almost
casting.
too much, really.
I have released an evil upon the world.
Yeah, Aronofsky can do the Elon Musk movie, and then Sofia Coppola can do the Grimes movie, right? Is that who's
oh my God, Grimes
right? with Elon Musk, right?
Didn't she just say she related to Dune?
Why? What? She's the Samwern?
About like having a child like Paul.
Oh, I thought like Elon was like Baron Harkonnen.
Am I making this up? Is she the one who said this?
I don't know. You're consuming a way too much Dune in your diet.
Yes, Grimes once admitted to seeing their son going through a life that mirrors Dune's Paul Atreides.
Cool. Guess we're all fucked.
Rich people are so weird.
Very weird. Much like the rich people. No, I was going to bring it back to Marie Antoinette, but they are a little weird. They are a little weird.
A lot of like meringues.
Yeah. You guys like a meringue?
I like the texture of a meringue. I will say that.
I do too.
I heard a story that Jake Gyllenhaal said one time where he asked for the autograph of Philip Seymour Hoffman, and he had met his mom at a restaurant in Los Angeles, and he had bought her a couple of meringues, and he saw not Philip Seymour Hoffman, I'm sorry, John C. Reilly, and he saw Reilly sitting at this table, and he was just like, oh, that's like one of my acting heroes, and he got real starstruck by John C. Reilly, so he brought a meringue over to Reilly, and he got his autograph, and I just thought, man, I really want a meringue, and that's very sweet by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Do you think Gyllenhaal's a good hang?
Answer this question wisely, because Eric Anderson.
But it depends what kind of hanging out you're doing, I would say.
I mean, if you're like going to buy red scarves, probably not. But
I saw him at Whole Foods one time, and it was really a magical experience.
I bet he was looking like an absolute babe.
He looked so good, and he smelled so good, contrary to the rumors that he doesn't shower.
I was just about to say, you're trying to help out this.
No, I'm helping him out.
So Sophia, not only did you see him, but you followed him around
to
get that musk.
took a
Donnie
whisk.
Darko Musk.
Took a whiff.
It was, we were right by the lemons and limes in the produce section.
Sure, he
This is
wasn't
where it all
smelling just like
happened.
citrus.
This could have
and
been
that's
the
what it was?
ultimate citrus connection.
Yeah,
It
there
really
you
could have
go.
been. What a meet cute.
I saw him at South by. He's a beautiful looking guy.
I love how he corrects people when they mispronounce things.
Oh, you mean like
Melancholy?
Melancholy?
That
Yeah.
that is one of the great PR clips.
There's never.
That's not the first time today.
That's not the first time today. Oh, I love that. I love Jake. Jake's another guy I think will get one day. I think he will. He'll get like
he's kind of going blockbusty.
yeah.
Ambulance is good.
Some of these guys also still have, I mean, like,
They've got a
he's not
long
that
year to
old
go.
yet. Like, he could get a supporting actor Oscar when he's,
He's
like
what, like
75.
40, 45?
Yeah, he can play like somebody with,
He's been famous for so long. He's kind of in that Kiki Dunst era.
yeah.
Mhm.
All I know is that there are a lot of people out there that people love and love to work with, and he's one of them. So, I mean,
Good looking man.
I'm very
He's a
optimistic
babe, for
right
sure.
now. I'm very optimistic right now. If Killian can win one, I think a bunch of other people that I love can win one.
It's pretty awesome that Killian won an Oscar.
It's really awesome that Killian
It
Murphy is
is.
our best actor winner.
He's one of the best actor winners we've had. Honestly, like if you look at that
In the last
list,
25 years, you bet.
there are some duds, and Killian is not one of them.
Yeah.
Also,
And he-
that's just the type of performance that doesn't really win there ever.
it was weird though when he walked up on the stage and Brendan Fraser handed him the Oscar and he slapped him in the face. That was kind of weird. And it was like, I didn't know Killian hated the whales so much. It was wild,
I
but
would have loved that so much, but
I'm surprised Brendan Fraser didn't cry when he fucking
I wonder
handed
what
him the
Killian
Oscar.
thinks of the whale.
Oh, I believe if you go to an Irish pub in Cork, I'm sure you'll find.
I
Yeah,
love the whale. I thought it was such an emotional experience for me.
I think
watching
he
The
would
Whale.
say something along the lines, "What a fucking piece of shite." You know what I mean?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I loved it. Reminded me of when I would eat my hoagies. Look, I love a Philly cheesesteak as much as anybody. And
All right, Jay. All right, Sophia. Thank you for coming on this once again another wild show of Director Watch. Can you tell everybody where they can find you and all your work on the internet?
Yeah,
I
thank you
love
guys.
Moby Dick. Actually, it's
Oh my
such an
God.
important
Jay,
text
let
in
her
so many ways.
let the show die.
It reminded me of my relationship with my children.
Sophia.
Thank you guys so much for having me on. Fun as always. Love talking about Marie Antoinette and a number of unrelated things.
It's always the last 20 minutes of this show that
I
go
love
off
this.
the-
I love this movie so much. I mean,
I
I
do
really,
too.
really do.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah.
Killian Murphy worked with Sofia Coppola. That'll be
Ooh,
interesting.
those cheekbones.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
I can
Actually,
see it.
yeah.
You can find me on Twitter at Sophia_Sim letterbox, where you can see my top 4, where I just added Marie Antoinette during this podcast at Sophia
Ooh.
Sim without the underscore.
Oh,
Where'd you kick
And-
I
out?
love Marie Antoinette.
I kicked out Ordinary People while we were chatting. I was like, I
Oh.
want something, I want these 4 together.
Did
I'll
you
mix it up
change
a
the
little bit more.
poster?
The poster looks like my Barry Lyndon poster. I
Oh,
can't deal
yeah.
with your accent. But they
I
are side by
love
side
changing
next to
a
each other.
poster.
And it looks so. You guys, changing the poster, getting the patron access on Letterboxd, it's luxurious.
I gotta tell
Worth
you.
it.
Oh,
I-
I feel like Marie Antoinette with one of her cakes when I do that.
I
It's
go-
just amazing.
I go back and forth on it because I don't know. I don't know if my relationship with Letterbox is healthy, but damn it, I'm feeding into it because I feel
Yeah.
like
The problem is you get to some of those posters, some of them look a little tacky.
Yeah, they do.
Jay,
like
you're really
And then,
stretching
you,
this.
and then you worry about looking like a fool. And you don't want to look like a fool.
oh my
You can
god!
also find my reviews at AwardsWatch, where I also reviewed Priscilla, Sofia Coppola's latest film out of New York Film Festival, and it's one of my favorite reviews I've ever written. So go check
Wow.
that out too.
She not only reviewed Priscilla or Pursula, depending on how you say it. She also talked to the actress herself that won the Volpe Cup,
I
who
did.
played Priscilla Presley. She talked to the one and only Kaylee Spaney, and that interview is up on the website at awardswatch.com. It was a great
Very
interview.
cool.
Thank you.
It was a great. She loved your posters.
She did, and she had never watched Rebecca before, and I recommended it to her.
I think that's what got her to watch it. I think so. Yeah. Look at you being influential to the women of today and tomorrow.
I'm not like Tom Cruise. I tell people what movies I like.
There you go.
That's true.
There you go. It's not hard, Tom.
Is Tom Cruise a coward? Let's litigate.
Let's talk about it. Jay, where can we find you and all your work on the internet?
Oh, you can find me on Letterboxd. Just search Jay Ledbetter. Twitter at Mr. J Ledbetter. Any of my work. I just wrote a scathing Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review.
That is actually 3 weeks old because of the time of recording.
At the time of this release. But honestly, that'll probably be my most recent written review.
We don't know. There's a Guy Ritchie movie around the corner for you.
You know, how do you feel when you get out of a screening and then you have to go to the press person and you're like, I hated that movie?
Did you tell them that?
I hate when they email you and they're like, what did you think?
Can you send us a link to your coverage?
No,
and I'm like,
I always talk to them on the way out. They're like, oh, so what do you think about it? And I was just like, I really disliked that. And here are the reasons why. And
what do they do?
And they were like, okay, well, thank you for coming anyway. So, you know,
I'm sure they hear both sides of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. But
it's their job to rather you be honest with them than lie.
Yeah. I'm going to give them, I'm not like Tom Cruise. I'm not a coward.
I was the one that gave like a C+ reaction to Dune too. And my rep was like, so you didn't really like it? And I'm like, it's fine.
I think Dune 2 is doing just fine.
Yeah,
despite your
yeah, I'm sure everyone's being level-headed about it.
Yeah. Anyway, review of the week.
Yeah,
like recommendation of the week.
Yeah, because we haven't.
Ryan, you ever seen the movie Ricochet?
Denzel, baby.
Denzel.
Hell yeah, Ricochet.
That movie rules.
That movie rips.
I'm in my trash era. That's a trash piece. That is a trash piece.
It's really good.
It's one of those movies that feels like it should be like a Steven Seagal movie, but then it has Denzel lending it so much integrity.
And very much like he's John providing Lithgow the gravitas.
Doing his like crazy De Palma thing. And honestly, the filmmaking is very influenced by De Palma. It absolutely rocks. It might be the best trash movie I've seen this year, which is saying a lot.
You watched a lot of trash, buddy.
I am swimming in trash. Call me Oscar the Grouch because I'm living in trash this year. And I'm loving it.
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Ryan McQuade77. You can find all my work at awardswatch.com, where I had a bunch of reviews and coverage over at the South by Southwest Film Festival. We have our Awards Watch podcast that is on this feed every Monday. The main show, please go listen to that. iTunes, Spotify, 5 stars. We greatly appreciate that. 5-star reviews, we'll read them on the show if they're nice. We only want the 5 stars. Newsletters up on the website where you can get all of our reviews, interviews, podcasts all sent to you twice a week. Eric puts that together. Really appreciate it if you signed up for that. My recommendation of the week is an oldie but a goodie. I've been going down more of a prestige action film rabbit hole.
Pass.
You've been going down more of the trasher pieces. I've been going down more of the prestige pieces. John McTiernan did a movie in 1990. Fucking absolute slapper. Yeah. The Hunt for Red October.
A film called The Hunt for Red October. Yeah, it's a great film.
We've been going down
like that.
We've been going down the Jack Ryan rabbit hole.
Can I tell you something? I like Ricochet more than I like The Hunt for Red October.
I gave Hunt for Red October 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
It's a great film. It's a great.
Fucking love it. I think it's great. I love that Jack Ryan is actually tied into the Harrison Ford Jack Ryans. So technically, that's all lineage together, even though that's Alec Baldwin,
because they were, Alec Baldwin killed a person
in the Hunt for Red October. He does kill a couple of people, I believe.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Yeah. So there is that. I think you're thinking he kills people. It's complicated.
No,
That's why it's
I was conflating it with.
It's complicated.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, it gets a little.
I was thinking of when
gets a little weekend at Bernie's over there.
He like emotionally kills all those.
Yeah,
guys
it's just like always being Sophia, no confusion for your Alec Baldwin films or anything there. No, nothing.
No.
Okay.
No confusion for me.
Hunt for Red October, though, absolutely fantastic. Talk about another movie that like goes back and forth between like Connery and Sam Neill and a bunch of people playing Russians, and they're clearly doing like
the moment where they do like the
explaining of the languages
in on the mouth, and then all of a sudden it's like, don't worry, you're not gonna have to read subtitles this whole movie.
It's so good. I love how like there's a like the third act twist of like Stellan Skarsgård and another boat just coming out of fucking nowhere. It's really good stuff. We don't make movies like that anymore. We don't know how to make good Clancy novels, I guess, into movies anymore either. Like I watched Clear and Present Danger a couple weeks ago, and that movie's like fine. But Red October rules.
It's like a smart, incredibly well made movie for grown-ups, which is just like the best kind of movie.
McTiernan, an interesting director. Die Hard 1 and Die Hard with a Vengeance. He's got Predators. He's got Hunt for Red October.
They're doing him on Blank Check right now, and
they're doing him right
watching
now?
all of his movies.
Yeah, Last Action Hero, Thomas Crown Affair.
He kind of stops making good ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of them do, Jay. Not.
Yeah, and then he went to federal prison.
I tried watching Medicine Man, one of the worst things
I watched all of it.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
It's bad.
Is the prequel Dr. Quinn? And this is Medicine Man. Then I remember the rollerball.
Chris Klein?
Is it Chris Klein? Yeah, it's Chris Klein. I remember the original rollerball. Good movie. Remake, bad. Absolutely bad movie. One of the worst movies I ever saw in theaters when I was a kid. So yeah, 13th Warrior, not good either.
People, I've heard some people, I was talking to somebody recently, they were like, yeah, 13th Warrior really reminiscent of Marie Antoinette. And I was like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
That's an odd comparison to me.
McTiernan's Die Hard is his Lost in Translation? What? Okay.
Ricochet
actually Hunt for Red October would be more of a Lost in Translation if you catch my drift, because they're communicating a lot in that movie. Anyway, that'd be to say it's really great. I love Connery. I miss Connery so much. What a fucking legend. And so yeah, that's what I'd say. Oh, and Scott Glenn too. Scott Glenn's phenomenal in that movie. Love Scott Glenn.
He's in a Coppola movie.
Yes, he is. He's in the Virgin Suicides.
Yeah, plays the priest.
He plays the priest.
He's good.
He's very good. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week. We're going to be talking about something, or rather, Somewhere is the next film in our Sophia.
Where are we going?
Somewhere. But it will be on this podcast feed. That's for sure. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.